Play, 2 fielders out on the boundary, this time better delivery, back of a length, where Sharma can only work the ball into the onside. It's a dot ball, 35 for none then India in the 6th over, chasing 229. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one in the women's game in terms of over how chasing these players who want to improve may not necessarily have those opportunities through the funding from their national cricket boards, desperately would want to get that experience abroad. I wonder whether the new tier system in the women's game in England and Wales might just give opportunities to more kind of a different kind of international players the chance to maybe come over and play tier 2 cricket, which isn't currently professional bar the likes of Yorkshire because it's been privately funded. But I would like to see if a few more international names potentially coming over, because I feel like there's that passion there that even though the funding and the money might not quite be there yet, it's Taskin's bowling full on the pads and Gill clips it away for 4 runs. Easy as you like, over pitched. Gill made it look effortless, 39 for none.
Yeah, Taskin's really struggled to find his rhythm today and is being put away in all the right places. Like I say, just over pitched. He's not finding any sort of rhythm this afternoon, unfortunately. I wonder how soon Bangladesh will bring on a spinner. We saw, I think it was the 8th over during the Bangladesh innings that we saw spin in actions. I wonder how soon they're going to make that choice here.
It just looks like it's lacking some teeth at the moment, this bowling attack. Taskin in, this time straight back presented, driven towards mid-on, no run. I mean, you have someone like Ridoy who's gone, I battled for my 100 just so that we could try and get some, close to a defendable total. Let's not throw the game away in the power into India's strengths, because apart from maybe the first 2 overs, they haven't really put them under much pressure.
No, and I think we'll always go back at the end of this game to the selection of going, was 3 paces the right call when you've got Nassim Ahmed on the bench.
This one outside the off stump, a lot wider, just dabbed down towards deep third.
And if Taskin, obviously Taskin, I'll be honest, he's probably the first name on that team sheet, but if Tanzan, Hasan and Taskin are there for their variation, trying to get a bit of movement out of the pitch, I'm not entirely sure that's necessarily paid dividends. And actually, should they have played Nahid Rana with pure pace just to give India something to think about early on?
Especially on a surface, as you say, that usually when we see the England men's test team go over to Pakistan and they're expecting surfaces which don't do as much, or previously when Pakistan played around Dubai, you would want that kind of Mark Wood, Jofra Archer player in the team to bring the pitch to life and get something a bit different. There's that threat with bowlers being a bit samey, as this time Rohit defends, fielded by the mid-wicket fielder coming in, allowing the bowler to go back to the top of his mark. But just that the bowling attack doesn't become a bit too samey. I know we have that left arm angle from Mustafiza, but they're quite a similar pace.
Yeah, I think they've missed a trick by not picking Nahid Rana. Even if he was bowling pure pace today, he'll be someone who India haven't played a lot before, that we know a lot about, and he would have given them something to think about early on. But they've I think really missed an opportunity with their selection today.
Rohit just making sure that his gloves fit comfortably enough, taking a few moments out of the game. 40 for none, India. Target of 229. Taskin comes in. Pace taken off that one. Leg side line. Work to backwards square for 1. 41 for 1.
I think you're right about what you're saying with the opportunities for women's cricket. I think Bangladesh women's cricket in particular suffered the loss of an ICC tournament, which I think would have been huge for the game in the country in terms of awareness, in terms of people coming to games, in terms of, I guess, on a sort of grassroots level, inspiration to take part, be involved. And I think the women's game in Bangladesh is very tokenistic at the moment. It's very elite level, 2-3 week tournaments, 3 teams, the same players over and over, and that for me doesn't feel like it's going to aid the growth of the game.
Taskin back of a length, just negotiated towards extra cover by Gill. He doesn't quite look satisfied with the way he played that shot, but nonetheless, 7 overs gone, 41 for none. Rohit on 28, Gill on 13. Tell us a bit more about the kind of women's setup in Bangladesh, and then you'll be joined by Nikesh.
Yeah, I mean, there are more and more tournaments happening, but a lot of them are kind of quite Dhaka-centric, quite central, capitally kind of 2-week tournaments that happen. It's the same group of players, it's 3 or 4 teams. They're trying to introduce kind of a little bit more of a first-class setup, because so far there's only been 2-day matches for the women's team, which isn't ample preparation for them to start playing Test cricket. So they've introduced a 3-day tournament for the women's teams. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot of work to be done before we get to a stage where, you know, any girl who wants to play cricket can pick up a ball and join a local club or join a school team. It seems way off that.
Mustafiza continues into Rohit Sharma, defends into the offside, and there is no run. I mean, it's taken a little bit of time to sort of catch up to countries like Australia and England for the South Asian teams, but certainly India and Pakistan both having introduced women's T20 competitions at the top level. It's seen as a really good thing in terms of not just putting women at the forefront of top level cricket, but also, you know, giving them the chance to earn good money. As Mustafiza offers a bit of width to Rohit, and that has been punched beautifully through the offside out towards the point boundary for 4. You could probably pick up the crunch off the bat as well on the effects mic. That was beautiful.
Every time he's offered a bit of width, he's been put away, so why keep doing it? Both Taskin and Fizz are not reacting to the match situation here at all.
Right in between those 2 fielders as well, at point and backward point. You cannot offer Rohit Sharma any kind of width, particularly once he's got himself set like this. He's into the 30s now. And this is looking ominous for Bangladesh. Rohit on to 32 from 29. 6 fours for him. And that after some agricultural looking stuff early on. Mustafiza straightens up his line, but goes 2 leg side, and that's been flicked away for a single. Out to square leg. Looks as though the ball has just stopped swinging a little bit as well. He did get quite a lot of swing away from Rohit early on. The Indian skipper now getting in the zone. Just seeing a replay of some of his boundaries on the screen in front of us as well. 46 for none then in the 8th over. If you are just joining us, India chasing 229 to win. Mustafiza into Gill, who defends back down the track. And this is no easy task for Bangladesh, is it? Because you've got the number 1 ranked ODI batter and the number 3 ranked ODI batter, who's probably also an all-time great in the format. So 229, if you give these guys a bit of a start, it's like a walk in the park.
Yeah, I think Bangladesh know that this probably isn't enough today. I mean, in the build-up to this match, they were talking about 300-plus scores, but it never looked like getting anywhere near that sort of target, and especially with the start they had. So I wonder what the tactic is here. Just try and frustrate India, try and look for wickets, but they don't look like they've got close to either so far.
Gill facing up again, gets a single with a dab into a vacant mid-wicket area. Mustafiza with the fielding off his own bowling. You can just start to see the lights around the stadium in Dubai taking effect now. The ring of fire, as they call it, into the evening. And, well, not seen much evidence of dew, but it has been much talked about. And certainly a little bit easier to bat if there is any dew out there, with the ball perhaps skidding on a little bit more to the bat. 6 from this over so far. Rohit back on strike. Gets offered more width outside off, and that's just been guided into the gap. It will be fielded. Oh, it should have been fielded at deep third. Initially, he pierced that gap beautifully. The gap between point and backward point has gone even smaller than it was previously, and it was like threading a needle there. Rohit Sharma, just beautiful placement. But should have been a better effort on the rope.
Should have been much better actually, right the way through the field, to be honest. 1 fielder, 2 fielder and third, like diving hands, and somehow he's managed to just thread that through for 4 more, just showing his class now.
So a couple of boundaries off that over. 10 from it from Mustafiza. He's bowled 4 overs, none for 34. India bringing up their 50 in the process as well. 51 for none off 8 overs. Danzim Hasan is into the attack. Just the 10 matches before this, 13 wickets, economy of 5.78. They're not going for spin, going to continue with pace. Right arm over, here he comes. It's very straight wicket to wicket into Shubman Gill, defended away for no run.
Yeah, Tanzim burst onto the scene during the T20 World Cup. I think he took, was it 4 wickets for 7 runs against, I want to say Nepal maybe. And he's someone who can sort of swing it both ways and extract stuff from pitches where others can't. I think that's why they've selected him today ahead of Nahid Rana, but they'll create a little bit of pressure on the young bowler just to justify his selection today.
Yeah, well, they could use a couple of wickets here in quick succession, but that's too full and it's on the pads of Gill. He'll pick you off there all day long. He flicks it out towards deep mid-wicket and helps himself to a couple of more runs. Soumya Sarkar chasing that one. Almost got his knee caught in the turf. He took quite a bit of turf up with that. You've got to be careful with those.
Yeah, we've gotten used to seeing what turf coming up during those slides. I think maybe that's why they're doing less of them today.
It always reminds me of Simon Jones in the Ashes down under in, I think, 03. Basically a career-ending injury. It's again another straight delivery, better with his length there, just pulling it back a touch, Tanzim. And Shubman Gill defending. 53 this partnership worth off 51 balls.
Yeah, it's keeping it simple, Tanzim, just wicket to wicket bowling, which is possibly what Bangladesh have needed from the start, because anything wide has been put away, and Taskin and Fierce in the first 8 just occasionally wayward with their bowling and their lines and lengths, and that's let India lay a very, very good foundation here.
Gill then 16 from 20, gets one down the leg side, doesn't manage to get anything on it. It's a really good take from Mushfiqur Rahim, diving away to his left, signalled wide by the umpire. Mohammad Shami earlier on, if you didn't catch any of the action, back in the India side and back on form in an ICC tournament. Now India's leading wicket taker in ICC ODI games. 60 wickets at an average of just 13. In comparison, Zahir Khan next on the list, 59 wickets at an average of 21, which you'd say is world class.
Yeah, definitely.
And then 13, imagine that. Bumrah is quite a way behind, incidentally. That's short of a length, and Gill launches it way up into the second tier of the Dubai International Stadium. The catch is put down in the crowd. And that was just stand and deliver.
What a shot. I was almost wondering where that was going to land, because it soared high into the Dubai sky there. Wasn't too bad a ball, but Gill more than equal to it, and that'd be deflating for the young bowler, because I thought he made a decent start to this over, but India always in it.
Front foot pull, which he's smashed 98 metres. Gets another one down the leg side, and that will be another wide. So all of a sudden, the wheels falling off this Bangladesh bowling attack. They could do with somebody who's got 60 wickets at 13 to come into the attack now, couldn't they?
I mean, what a bowling in today. I mean, for all the talk of him not being quite there after injury, I mean, it's not the first time a player's refound their form against Bangladesh just as the opponent.
Gill then batting outside his crease, comes down the track, launches it over extra cover, and that's going to be a couple of bounces into the rope as well. Well, Shubman Gill's almost saying, don't forget about me. Rohit's been smashing it around, but I'm the #1 player in this format, and I can do anything he can.
This is 3 under the 4. What a shot. Just watches it go nice and easy down the track. And yeah, just clicking through the gears. India look like they're not going to hang around with this total.
Rohit enjoying that on the replay from the non-striker's end. Gill on to 26 from 22 now with those boundaries. Gets a half volley outside off. Was offered the width, but hits it to the fielder there inside the ring, so it will be a dot ball to finish Tanzim's first over. 14 from it. India 65 for none after the first 9. 229 is the target. Yeah, incidentally, for those wondering, Jasprit Bumrah is on the list of India's leading wicket takers in ICC ODI tournaments. 42 wickets at an average of 22, so almost human, really, as opposed to Shami.
Feet slightly more on the ground.
Yeah, especially when you consider what Bumrah did in the Test series in Australia recently. When his average went above 11 or 12, everyone's eyebrows were raised for the series. So yeah, Shami does like to turn up in these ICC ODI tournaments. Has received a lot of stick, to be honest, when playing for India in some ICC competitions before. You'll remember a T20 World Cup here 3 years ago in the UAE, where India lost to Pakistan for the first time ever in any kind of World Cup match. And he got the brunt of the stick, unfairly of course, but you know, fickle bunch sometimes, cricket fans.
Very high standards.
Right, it's going to be Rohit back on strike. Eyes wide open. Taskin to continue, top edge, and it's going to sail over short fine leg and just plug in the outfield there, and Rohit will help himself to a couple of more runs. Well, when it's not your day, Roshan, things like that happen.
Quite right. I mean, they were there in the deep for Bangladesh, and for a moment I think Bangladesh fans would have seen almost a miss hit from Rohit there and had their breath being held, hoping there was someone underneath it, but in the end just two converging fielders nowhere near the ball.
Yeah, it sailed quite a long way over the head of short fine leg. 67 for none then. Usually such a good puller and hooker of the ball, Rohit Sharma, but getting that one off the top edge. Taskin charges in on the pads of Rohit, who flicks past short fine again. And we'll get another couple. That's good running.
It's the second time in as many balls I've seen Tanzim running after the ball as cap fly. I think he might need to just give it a little tighten at the back.
It's Velcro, is it?
I think Velcro these days is sort of one size fits all.
It's not those little pop-in things. No, that's a bit 90s, isn't it?
It's a little bit, yeah.
They did make a bit of a comeback though.
But yeah, Velcro
many things do.
Velcro seems to be the way to go these days, doesn't it? Flexible sizing.
You can't beat the test cap, which is just sort of elastic, isn't it?
All the way through, yeah. Although I imagine that could probably get quite hot.
Yeah, it probably does. Especially the material they're made of. Which is why often at the end of players' careers you can see the sweat and things, which has taken all the colour off. Rohit defends the next ball on off stump, out towards backward point, no run. India with a new look kit as well, with the three colours of the flag on their shoulders. The orange, the white, the green. Quite a nice clean blue all throughout the rest of it, really. They always play it quite safe.
I was going to say, like the India kits through the ages have been fairly consistent of late. I mean, I like the flag detail.
Here comes Taskin again, short outside off and left alone by Rohit, who did shape up for a hook, then thought he might get a wide, and I think he's frustrated that it wasn't quite high enough to be called a wide. He looks devastated that he's missed out on that.
He does look annoyed, doesn't he? But he's got enough runs on the board. I think he'll be fine. Yeah, it's a nice India kit. I love the orange lettering as well, which has sort of become iconic with just so clever, the design work.
It's pretty smart. Just looking at that replay, that did look like it was probably over the head of Rohit Sharma from side on, but one that was missed by umpire rifle at square leg. He's probably saying, listen, don't moan. You're chasing 229, you're 69 for none in the 10th over. Rohit comes down the track, miscues one in the air out towards point. Fielder underneath it takes the catch. Rishad Hossain making no mistake, and Rohit finally has to make his way back for a very entertaining 41 from 36. India 69 for 1 in the 10th. So it is a wicket for Bangladesh in the power play, but not before a lot of damage was done. And one that just maybe bounced a little bit higher than Rohit was expecting.
Yeah, only the second time we've seen him do a bit of a miss-hit in this game, and it went so high up in the air. Rishabh had absolutely ages to get under the ball and make a catch. So a good wicket for Bangladesh, but the work is not done if they're to get anything, because boy, do we know India can keep batting down this lineup, down this batting order.
So Taskin Ahmed with the initial breakthrough here for Bangladesh. That usually means one thing in ODI cricket: one down, enter the king. Virat Kohli strides to the crease. A lot of talk about his form, but did strike a half-century against England in the final ODI of that series, which India won so comprehensively. And if there is one format where there is absolutely no doubt from many experts in the field about the greatest of all time, it is this. In ODI cricket, there is not a record like Virat Kohli's. 50 centuries, average of over 58 across well over 200 odd matches. 36 years of age and still hungry. 286 innings, in fact, nearly 14,000 runs in the format. In comes Taskin, and Kohli defends his first ball outside off. But on the flip side, as we see 10 overs completed, India 69 for 1. He's the big fish. He's the one that all opposition bowlers will be looking to get out. One for the CV, particularly in a lost cause. You know, if India were to get ever closer to that target, I'm not saying it's a lost cause yet, another couple of wickets and anything can happen. But Kohli is the one that opposition bowlers will always want, so that comes with its own added pressure. But at the moment, no pressure for India. 69 for 1 off the first 10. 229 is that target. And as Roshan Alam makes way, Tamar Mills is backing alongside me. That was quite entertaining from Rohit, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's great to watch, isn't he, in full flow.
Tanzim continues. Gill flicks one off the hip down towards deep square leg. Will get a single. Brings Kohli back onto strike.
Yeah, some of the shots, he's very dismissive of any pace, isn't it? Nothing seems to worry him. Even the way that he was dismissed, he was trying to continue in that aggressive vein, advancing against the seamers, looking to hit them over the top. Some of those shots that both he and Shubman Gill were playing over cover in particular were brilliant to watch. So they won't mind getting out in that type of fashion. That's how they want to play their cricket. That's how they have a lot of success. And it just, they're 70 for 1 after 10 overs, so they're well on their way of chasing this total down.
Tanzim into Kohli. Oh, it's short, and well, Kohli almost gets it off the back of the bat to first slip, looking to hook that hand to fine leg. You can see the funny side of it. Now, here's a man you've played against, you've played with, you've been teammates with Virat Kohli as well at RCB. What kind of plans do opposition teams have for somebody like a Kohli, particularly in white ball cricket?
I think you've got to keep it basic early, and you have to still just attack the top of off. I know that's a very boring cliche thing to say, but I think sometimes you can get sucked into a bit of a trap in playing the player, as difficult as that might be sometimes.
Nice defensive shot outside off from Kohli. Very watchful start.
But at the end of the day, most batters will still be vulnerable when they come out there. They'll still want to find the rhythm of the game, the pitch, how it's playing. Some maybe more so in T20 cricket, but in 50 over cricket, guys will tend to give themselves a bit of time. So that delivery there that Tanzim's just bowled, just in and around off stump, Kohli's respected that ball. He's not tried to play anything differently. He's still taking his time. He's still getting adjusted to conditions. So you've got to be really disciplined. That's the key early on.
Kohli punches one off the back foot now defensively into the offside. No run. So it's a little bit different then, because in Test cricket we've seen what sides have been doing recently, and it's that, you know, back to the Kohli of maybe the 2014 tour of England, where Jimmy Anderson was getting him caught at slip or caught behind, just fishing at deliveries outside off. He worked on that, came back in 2018, scored a bucket load of runs in England against those types of deliveries. But it seems to be now another vulnerability in the red ball format, certainly, as he defends another one outside off into the offside. No run. Is that different in white ball cricket? You can't quite give a player that sort of width because it's too much of a risk.
Oh yeah, and ultimately the ball doesn't do anywhere near as much, these white cricket balls, unless the pitch is really grassy, which we're not seeing today. I played our first game in the ILT20 at this stadium in start of January. The ball did all sorts. It was like playing a 4-day game in England in the start of April.
Turns him into Kohli, another defensive shot. So 6 dot balls to begin Kohli's innings, and that's a good over from Tanzim, just the one from it. India 70 for 1 after 11. Gill at the other end 27 from 24, the one man out. Rohit Sharma 41 from 36.
Yeah, so I think your margin for error is very small, and remember, Bangladesh are obviously having to play the game, the situation as well. They don't have all day to bowl like you do in a test match and try and wear down a batter. You have to try and take wickets. They need to be thinking, they'll be talking, the only way they're going to win this game really is by bowling India out. So they've got to try different things.
Attack, vastly experienced campaigner, 104 matches, decent economy as well, under 5 runs and over. Always very good by modern standards. Gill, it will be on strike, facing up to the off spin. And he just works one gently to the fielder at mid-wicket, no run. One thing that Bangladesh have got is plenty of spinners in their squad. The one thing they perhaps don't have is the mystery. As Mehdi Hasan is in once more, and that's been worked away out towards deep square leg for a single. Especially now without Shakib. Of course, they've got good spinners, solid spinners, but not that little bit of extra magic perhaps that other sides have.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see the leg spin of Rishat Hossain from the other side. He'll get the short boundary, so Med Miraz here is bowling to the big leg side boundary to the 2 right-handers, being an off spinner. Try and give him a little bit of protection to the leg side.
Mehdi Hasan just pitches one up to Kohli. It's been flicked straight to Shanto at short mid-wicket. No run.
We did see spin, didn't we, in the first half of the game? The Indian spinners all managed to get it to move from the straight quite consistently.
Kohli back in his crease and still can't get off the mark. Flicks it straight to short, square leg. So 8 balls faced by Kohli, still yet to get off the mark. 71 for 1 India in the 12th over, and again Kohli flicks leg side, finds the fielder straight to Shanto. At what point do you start feeling the pressure if you're a Virat Kohli, and even in this situation you're not able to get off the mark? Well, he is able to get off the mark there. He flicks it down towards long on for a single to finish off the over. 12 overs gone, India 72 for 1, just 2 off that over as well. You can't afford to eat up too many deliveries, even in a small chase.
Yeah, I think he can.
without feeling the pressure, I mean, because winning the game is one thing, but for somebody like Kohli, getting off to a good start in an ICC tournament, given the amount of pressure he's been under, I think that will mean, quite a lot to a lot of people. And if he's at, he's 1 from 10 right now, if he's, say, 3 off 20 or something like that, does that then just send bad vibes down the rest of the order or into other members of the squad, or you think he's earned that? Yeah,
and I think not within the context of this game. If you were chasing 350, it'd be obviously a completely different scenario, but with only 230 needed to win.
Tanzim continues. Kohli gets an inside edge towards square leg, takes the single.
You can be a bit more watchful, and it might be, if he's a little bit out of form, he's going to take this opportunity to bat some overs and try and find some, get his triggers right, get his rhythm right, get a feel for the wicket, and because there isn't that time pressure. Yeah, of course you want to win this game in 25 overs and do it at a canter and get your net run rate through the roof, but for each individual player there'll be kind of different nuances and there'll be different objectives to get out of the game. So Virat Kohli's got the perfect opportunity that if he wants to bat for 25 overs here, he's more than welcome to do so.
Gill on strike, punches one out towards deep point. Will help himself to a single. Of course, the field's spread now after the power play. Bangladesh getting to that 228 thanks largely to Rohit Hridhoy and his maiden ODI century, helped by Jakar Ali with 68 as well, doing a rebuilding job after Bangladesh were 39 for 5. Tanzim goes short to Kohli. It's pulled around the corner down towards fine leg. There is protection there though, so it will just be the one. So when you played against India, do you have specific plans for, say, Rohit or Kohli or maybe one or two of the others, or you just got to try and keep it as simple as you can?
It doesn't matter whether it's India, Bangladesh or Papua New Guinea. You need to have plans for every batter that you come up against. I think that is half of the battle, is not, as I say, playing the name on the back of the shirt as much.
Tanzim into Gill, defended away, no run.
Yeah, you need to understand if they have a glaring strength or a glaring weakness. You need to be aware of those, but ultimately you need to know, and cricket, whether you're batting or bowling, is largely about how quickly can you find the right strategy and tactic to work on the particular wicket on any given day, because you can play the same team on 5 different wickets and be required to do 5 different things. So that's a large part of cricket. It's just problem solving, and the team and the individuals that can problem solve the quickest tend to be the most successful.
Tanzim again just on that hard length outside off, and Gill can't beat the fielder there at cover. No run. And how much video footage would you watch of these players? I mean, obviously, the reason I'm referring to the likes of Rohit and Kohli, a lot of people have seen a lot of them over many years, whereas if you are playing Papua New Guinea, you probably wouldn't have seen them play at all, apart from maybe in the last T20 World Cup. Do you spend a lot of time as bowlers with the bowling coach going through videos and things like that? As Tanzim completes the over. Again, punched by Gill, straight to short extra cover, no run.
Yeah, I'm not a big video watcher. I like to look at wagon wheels. I feel that the wagon wheels tell me a lot, so I like to get a wagon wheel for the different phases of the game. So within a T20 game, watch their wagon wheel in the power play, through the middle overs, and then at the death, because then you can get a good idea of where they like to play and what their scoring shots are, and then whether they ramp or reverse ramp, or against the spin, do they reverse sweep. I want outlying information. Spend all day looking at footage of every single batter, and it can muddle things, and it can certainly make it as clear as mud a lot of the time. So I like to try and be a little bit more succinct.
The Hasan continues into Kohli. It's flicked around the corner leg side for another single. I like wagon wheels as well, but different type. The original ones. Has to be the original ones.
I don't like those wagon wheels. I'll be honest. No.
I'm not sure you can get them anymore.
Yeah,
probably not had them for like 10, 12 years.
It's an old man chocolate. I think my mum likes those.
An old man chocolate. Thank you very much.
Is it coconut? What's in the middle?
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow. Sorry.
Gill faces up and just punches to mid-on, no run. 76 for 1 then, India, chasing 229 in the 14th over. That one does turn off the straight in towards Gill, but again defended into the leg side, no run. So you can already see India here respecting the spin of Mehdi Hasan. He's off to a relatively good start. Another solid delivery on that off stump, just turning slightly into Gill, the right-hander. Another dot ball. He's bowled 1.4 overs, none for 3, and he's racing through his overs. This is what India, the middle part of that innings. Just putting the strangle on Bangladesh through that phase. Another dot ball flicked into the leg side by Gill.
You do get the feeling though that Shubman Gill, if he wanted to, could play that big shot. It seems like he's just patting it into the leg side. There's 2 fielders well positioned at square leg and mid wicket.
Final ball of the over is pulled. It wasn't all that short. It's out towards deep square leg. There's a slight fumble on the boundary, which will allow the batters safely through for a jogged 2. 14 overs gone then. India 78 for 1 now, just 3 off that over from Mehdi Hasan. As we hear some Bollywood classics blaring in the background. You tell us your your favourite song at a cricket ground, and it can't be one of the usual Sweet Carolines, and then Melissa's story will take over from me.
I was going to say it's definitely not Sweet Caroline. I've heard that song so much now. If I never hear it again, I'll be a happy man. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. There's a song that it's called APT. My kids love that song. So I had my family with me in Dubai just now.
As Tanzim comes in again for a new over. Shorter ball pulled out towards deep square. Single taken to kick off this 1-for-1 India. Did you know it's based on a kind of Korean drinking game?
Well, it sounds, I thought it was like a K-pop kind of band. I know Bruno Mars is in it as well, isn't he? But my kids they played that at the cricket all the time just now when I was playing out there, and my kids adored that song. So that's still getting a good run in my car at the moment on every school run.
It's a pretty good song. I haven't quite got sick of it yet, as this time Fuller advancing down the pitch as Gill slaps it over extra cover and away for 4 runs. He moves to 35 off 36 balls. India 83 for 1. Already it just feels as if they found the boundary more freely than Bangladesh did. Yes, they were, hampered by those early wickets, but it's looked a bit easier to bat on, and that has been owing to the Bangladesh bowling.
Yeah, and the high skill of the Indian batters. Those shots that you're playing over cover, those aren't shots that a lot of players can play with the ease that Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma can anyway. They're a pleasure to watch.
Gill on strike, full toss now from Tanzim, and almost an alarm, he can only drill it straight towards mid-off. Won't find a run. So we're being shown kind of highlights of Naheed Rana, but of course not in the side today for Bangladesh. I'm sure lots of people will be hoping he'll make it into the playing 11 at some point across this Champions Trophy. A lot of raw pace and talent, and we were actually speaking earlier about kind of seeing clips of yourself on the big screen as this ball from Tanzim is cut towards point for no run, and kind of either if it's good things, then you can kind of be a bit smug looking up at the big screen again, oh, they're showing my wicket I just got again. But if they're showing you again and again, it might be because they're kind of breaking down your action. We just saw Naheed Rana just smiling at the big screen there as they showed clips of him bowling, as if to go, yep, I know I'm good. In comes Tanzim again. This one's been just clubbed in the air and over the fielder's head at mid-on. Backpedaling Osaka, and Gill there was playing a shot which wasn't probably the right length to play. Was more back of a length, looked to go over the top. Just managed to, and he'll pick up a single.
Yeah, slightly fortuitous. This is one of those ones as a bowler, that brief second, you're just praying that that's going to fall into the hands of your fielder, but then when you see them scrambling back and kind of not with a huge interest in getting the ball itself, it's...
Tanzim bowls full, driven to extra cover for no run.
It's a very frustrating one, especially when you need wickets and you know that you need 10 of them to probably win this game. You need those little half chances just to fall your way, half a yard shorter, and then you could see the back of the batter, but wasn't to be. Good over still. Tanzim's been bowling a nice line, nice length, coupled with Mehdi Miraz from the other side. It's been a tight few overs from Bangladesh, but they need wickets if they're going to win this game, and India aren't under a huge amount of pressure in terms of needing to accelerate the score, so it's pretty easy going so far for the Indian batters.
Certainly, I mean at this stage Bangladesh 62 for 5, India 84 for 1, and I mean, speaking about the kind of calibre of these two players in the middle, there's been a lot of talk about Virat Kohli's place in the Indian T20 team, because he's only scored 170 in 10 innings in the last T20 team, but there's not an ounce of doubt about whether he should be in this ODI team, as this time Gill just calmly punches the ball down the ground towards long on. Single moves the score to 85 for 1. And to break down those figures, in the last 18 months for Virat Kohli, he's had 17 ODI innings, 8 50s, 2 hundreds. I mean, just pretty remarkable. The only thing, though, which is kind of I've kind of picked up on, as Miraz is bowling, this time worked towards square leg, is that he was only dismissed 14 times leg before wicket from the period of his debut to 2008 from his debut in 2008 to March 2023, as this time Kohli goes back, whips the ball down the ground, will get another single. But since March 2023, he's been dismissed 5 times leg before wicket, including all 3 ODIs versus Sri Lanka last year. So maybe there's just that element of vulnerability sneaking in with that straight for the ball early on in his innings. But remarkable that across that period of 2008 to 2023, leg before wicket only 14 times as this one, driven back to the bowler for no run.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he knew that. You know, that's the type of thing that an analyst or a commentator, that would appear on a stat sheet. I'd be very surprised if that was in Virat Kohli's thinking. I think it has to be something.
It's Miraz's bowling. This one goes down the ground for another single. I mean, as you say, it's not something as well that I assume an analyst would be rushing to a player to say, oh, did you know that you've been getting out leg before wicket a bit more lately? Because it's more of something that I guess can be passed on to coaches, and coaches subtly integrate that into training. As Miraz this time bowls more leg stump line, it's the same result. Clipped down the ground for a single, 88 for 1 after 16 overs, that target of 229.
Yeah, 100%. I think it needs to get to the point where it's like a blatant issue before it gets raised, I guess, directly, as you say. If you're getting out to the same type of bowling or in the same manner time after time after time, then yeah, you're probably getting the tap on the shoulder saying, should we do something about this? But it's
not quite the Shane Watson level of leg before.
Correct.
Almost every time you go out.
When KP was getting out to left arm spin, that's... it gets heightened, I guess, to say by commentators or TV analysts, and
that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. I mean, it's certainly interesting that most players I've spoken to, or even I think last summer, speaking to Sophie Eccleston before a game, that she was approaching a kind of milestone in terms of one-day international wickets, and you kind of have to do the thing before the game and say, oh, are you aware you're only 3 wickets away? And she was just like, no, not at all. And why would a player, unless they were a complete badger in terms of stats, probably be aware of those kind of things? As in comes the leg spinner Rishad, and that first ball has a lot of turn off the surface. Now that's exciting to see.
Yeah, he gives it a big rip. I haven't actually seen him bowl before. He was picked in the Big Bash draft for the Hobart Hurricanes by Ricky Ponting and the team there, but it was a strange pick considering he plays in a competition that runs at the same time as the Big Bash, so he wasn't available.
As Rishad this time, straighter ball, whipped into the onside, into a vacant square leg region.
But yeah, he gives it a good rip. A lot of energy on the ball, looks to spin it hard. You might get a little bit of inconsistency with that, but as soon as you spin that first ball big and get some bounce as well, the batters then play you a bit different because they've seen it and they know that you can beat them on the outside edge. So it's an encouraging start for Rishad.
Into the 17th over. This time Gill defends. Fuller delivery from the leg spinner. India just the one down at the moment. It's interesting you of course mentioned the Hobart Hurricanes, because I was actually having a look at, as in comes Rishad, this one, again to that vacant square leg region. And it's always a kind of fun game that we've played previously in times where you kind of have to name every single team that someone like a Ravi Bopara has been a part of. But I then wondered to myself, you must have played for quite a few teams at this point. First of all, I must say I absolutely adore the very young Tamal Mills, which comes up on our screens when we search for this, as the ball punched down the ground.
So that's my Cricket Info page, and yeah, I think I was 19 in that picture, and I'm now 32. So I might have to get, if anybody from Cricket Info, if you're listening, can I get a new picture, please?
I love that when you kind of type in celebrity photos as well, and you can see the first one that comes up is maybe their first ever red carpet, and they keep them nice and young. There's that one left alone by Gill, assuming that it was just going to turn like that earlier one, but it did just go on. It's got to be a little bit careful there. That kind of variation being offered by Rishad. 17 overs gone. 91 for 1 the score. But in terms of teams you've played for, so I think I was working this out correctly. So 3 different teams in the Big Bash.
Yep, Perth, Hobart and Brisbane.
And then is it just the 2 IPL teams?
2 IPL, yeah, Mumbai and RCB.
Pretty good memory. 3 PSL teams.
Quetta twice, Karachi, Zalmi, and Islamabad. 4. I've played for 4 teams in the PSL.
Oh, there you go. So one of them is not even on here. But, I mean, you have a pretty good memory about the teams you've played for because...
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, that's comforting. We didn't think you were just kind of oblivious for the 4 weeks. They ship you out there and they have an on and off button before the games, just shove you out there, plug you in at night to keep you fully charged.
Correct.
But yeah, it's incredible to kind of see it all laid out across your career, and it's even got the Essex second 11 on here, which is
where it all started.
Well, exactly. There we go.
Minor counties for Suffolk as well. But yeah, in my garage I always bring home my playing shirts from every team that I go and play for. And yeah, in my garage now I've got maybe 4 cricket bags just full of playing shirts from the different teams that I've played for. Just
kind of in the bags, or do you have some big plan for the future where you can create this kind of montage on the wall?
Well, I've got I've got like a TV room in my house, and on the wall I've got framed up the shirts from tournaments that I've won. So with the medals within the frames, which is really nice. So I've got a few of those up on the wall, and then I've got my England debut shirt on the wall as well. I think so. I've got 5 or 6 up on the wall in one room of the house, and then the rest are just in various cricket bags in my garage. So whenever people ask for signed shirts and stuff, I'm not short of options, and I throw out some pretty rare random shirts sometimes. So if you ask for a signed shirt or something, you might get something from the Bangladesh Premier League of 2018, or I've been around, so I've got a few different shirts kicking around.
Well, there's companies which send out kind of mystery cricket shirts now, don't they? So you could set up your own one and just say it's gonna have Mills on the back, but I can guarantee it's going to be a complete mystery as to which one.
There are some very random ones. There's some really poor designed ones as well. Some of the ones that you play and you turn up and you look at the kit and you're like, oh, I've got to wear this for the next 4 weeks. But
what's been your least favourite kit? Unless you're still currently connected with that team, in which don't say a thing.
No, that's fine. To be fair, the team I played for in the IL T20 just now in Dubai, our playing kit was nice, but our training kit was probably one of the ugliest kits I've worn. It's a purple and pink training kit with a bit of orange on there. That wasn't great. The playing kit was pretty nice. It was all orange. So that training kit wasn't overly nice. And then sometimes you go and play some places where they just haven't put an awful lot of effort into the kit design or the quality of it. But those are the little things that shouldn't matter but do, I guess.
In terms of, you say you put them up on the wall in the TV room, is that the only room you've been given for the t-shirts as well? Has your partner kind of got no cricket t-shirts around the rest of the house?
Absolutely, absolutely. The only thing I have in the rest of the house, we got, you may have seen, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, the ECB gave out these commemorative caps to everybody that has played for England, these blue kind of velvet caps.
As spin continues with Miraz, just going deeper in the crease and tickling it round the corner on the onside. We're looking for 2, but settle on the single, 92 for 1.
So that was a really nice one. So I've got that in kind of a white box, and that's in the living room somewhere. But aside from that, no, I'm not a big one for. I don't want to plaster the house in memorabilia. But I don't think my wife would be on board with that either, to be honest.
As Gill whips this one away off the pads out towards deep mid wicket. Again, will just be the single, 93 for 1. I mean, we were speaking before the game kicked off about the Champions Trophy blazer, which you can win, which is a pretty snazzy white blazer. I just wonder whether you can get much use out of it after the kind of winning ceremony's over. As in comes Miraz, this time picks out mid-wicket, no run.
I mean, you can wear it as much as you want, it's just you might get some funny looks if you're wearing it around Tesco's or in the supermarket. That's
the thing, I'm like, is it the same as kind of wearing your University Society jumper once you've left university? As this one skids through, muted appeal, and then Miraz recognising that potentially a bit of bat involved in that one from Kohli. Dot ball though. Because I brought all the stash at uni. I was with my cricket club for 3 years, and in the end just couldn't bear to wear it once I'd moved back in with my parents. I was going deeper in the crease, this time knocking the ball down towards mid-on. Score to 94 for 1. Well, I'm seeing your very young Tamal Mills photo that's been sent to you? What have you been shown?
Hello to Vish. So Vish is one of the higher ups at Cricinfo. So he's obviously listening in, which is great. And he's just sent me a screenshot of my page. So yeah, Vish, if you have that type of power to get me an up-to-date photo, that would be brilliant. Thank you.
Raz bowling and playing cautiously around the front pad is Gill. Finds mid-wicket again. 18 overs gone, 94 for 1. If anything, I think we should just keep making the photo younger and younger. Do we have a photo of Tamal from like the under-17s team? And then we'll go find 12-year-old Tamal. Just keep sticking it in there. You've got to be careful with this kind of thing, because Stephen Finn didn't like his photo on the BBC Sport website. I'm pretty sure I remembered, and he kept asking for it to be changed. And I think Matt Henry played some kind of pranks to keep it from changing to maybe more unflattering ones.
I'd like to think I've got better photos out there than that one, but we'll see what they come up with. He said it's being changed as we speak.
This is exciting. Here we go. As Miraz in, that one targeting in the stumps, and Kohli, who's taking things a little bit slowly at the moment. 11 off 27 balls. India have the luxury of being able to do that, but they won't want to fall too far behind. As Miraz this time outside the off stump, driving nicely, finds the fielder at extra cover. This feels almost like a launch in live time. I feel like everyone listening now is like viciously refreshing the ESPN page. What photo is it going to be? This time, drops the ball square of the wicket on the onside. Mustafiza Fields, single to the total, 95 for 1. This is the best opportunity to play a prank, I've got to say. There's got to be do you know what your bowling face is like?
Oh, yeah, it won't be pretty. Yeah, hopefully it's not a live action shot. Hopefully keep it nice and sensible with a headshot from somewhere.
This time down on one knee, just pulls the ball out towards square leg on the boundary. 96 for 1. I always remember when I was in age group cricket back when I used to play for Wiltshire, I got to meet and have a photo of Katie George, who at the time played for the Southern Vipers. And it was when I was picking up an award, and in the photo, which was published everywhere, as Rishad, apologies, been saying Virat, and it's been Rishad, the leg spinner with the ball in hand. This time, single into the onside. 97 for 1. One ball left in this over. Yeah, in the photo, which was put everywhere, including my school website, which is the most devastating thing that you can do to about a 16-year-old. My eyes are kind of in a transition between being fully closed and open. And it's a dreadful photo, as this time deeper in the crease. Searching for the single on the onside. Can't find it. So far, Rishad, 2 overs, 6 runs. 97 for 1. India, that target of 229. And yeah, it was just absolutely devastating. Still pretty much the main thing that comes up. So yeah, you got to be careful with stuff like that. Has it been updated yet?
No, still 19-year-old me at the moment, but that's okay.
There's an urgent email being sent as we speak saying, come on, someone's got to update this.
Or Vish is just desperately trying to find the worst photo he can of me before updating. I had a full head of hair in this photo, which I haven't had for the last 10 years. So,
well, maybe we should keep it then. This time Miraz continues into his 5th over. Kohli works the ball round to square leg. Second wicket partnership, 28 of 56. Miraz targeting the stumps, picks up mid-wicket. I think the calls from Bangladesh suggested that there could be a run out there, but it was a comfortable single in the end for the Indian batters, both Kohli and Gill, so quick between the stumps. Gill on 41 off 49. A name who many put forward as being the player to watch for India out of their batters in this competition. He defends this occasion, back to the bowler. But there's so much talent packed down this Indian lineup. In terms of talking about favourites for the competition, I think most people are putting them in their top 4, even their top 2 to make it through to the final. This time back and defending for no run.
Yeah, and I think the way that the series against England just now went was obviously they won in pretty dominant fashion, and just before coming into an international tournament, you couldn't ask for much more.
Miraz in, swept by Gill down towards deep fine leg. Single taken.
So they come in, in red hot form. Everybody playing well, full of confidence, and they're taking that into the first game so far. This is a nice start for them. Actually, made to work a little bit harder than what they would have liked with the ball.
This time, Miraz bowling. Pulled out towards deep square. The fielder throws off balance to return the ball back towards the bowler. 2 runs taken, 100 up for India. After 20 overs, they're 101 for 1.
Yeah, partnership just building between these two. Virat Kohli finding it a little bit slower going than Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill 42 off 52. Virat Kohli a bit more circumspect, 16 off of 32 deliveries, but 100 up for India within the first 20 overs. Well on their way of their target of 229 on the pursuit of this Champions Trophy. The first game for them being held in Dubai. We saw New Zealand beat Pakistan in pretty comfortable fashion in Karachi.
Rishad into his 3rd over. Bit of a quicker delivery, drilled towards extra cover and swiftly returned towards the keeper for no run.
Tomorrow you have Afghanistan taking on South Africa in Karachi, and then England kick off against Australia on Saturday.
As in comes Rishad again. This time finds the gap. Does Gill. Leans on it. Guides it through the covers. 102 for 1. I mean, it's an absolute miracle that Australia and England are in the same group. I mean, who genuinely could have seen that coming? But doesn't it set up a fantastic game?
Yeah, funny how it always plays out like that, isn't it? India, Pakistan always in one side, England, Australia in the other.
Rishad bowls now out towards extra cover. Allows India through for another single, 103 for 1. Yeah, I can't wait for the year where it's India versus England and Australia versus Pakistan. I'm sure it'll come. I'm very optimistic.
Maybe not in our lifetimes.
That's like oddly threatening for both two quite young people. I mean, look at you in your photo. You look so young. Or has it been updated? Here we go. It's a live follow along. 103 for 1. The 21st over. Gill surveys the field. As Rishad. 4th stump line. Just late cut towards a diving point. As Gill grimaces. No run there.
No, not yet. Taking a while to buffer.
And Bangladesh, speaking about all the teams in the competition in Bangladesh's innings. So plenty left out there, but it was that pressure of those 5 wickets being lost in the first power play has driven hard out towards deep extra. Single taken to finish the 21st over, 104 for 1, target of 229. Gill on 44, Kohli on 17. Tamal Mills is taking a break and we're rejoined by Roshan Alam. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a low-pressure chase, isn't it? We know this is how Bangladesh like to bowl, bring on the spinners, choke a little bit, and they have done that. Miraz and Rishad, they've slowed down that run rate, but the lack of wickets means India are still, for me, comfortably in the driving seat. This is an easy chase, and there's no pressure.
There's lots of smiles in the Indian dugout, which, even when the next batter in is smiling like this, you know they're in a pretty comfortable position. Going back on this occasion is Gill. Calmly works it down the ground for a single. As we just look at, as Tamal mentioned, the fixtures coming up in Group B, Afghanistan versus South Africa. Who are you kind of pitching to win that game? As Miraz bowls a fuller ball, just steered down the ground by Kohli, single to the total, 106 for 1.
I think it's going to be a good one because I think Afghanistan are a lot of people's underdogs for this tournament, and they've done enough in the last sort of 12 months or so to sort of demonstrate that they can compete in tournaments and can compete with the big side. So I think that's going to be a very tasty tie in Group B.
As the off-spinner continues this time, just punched. Maybe a chance of a mix-up. You could hear lots of yells, I think mainly coming from the Bangladesh camp, as India contemplated a single. They're not in the position where they have to really take those risky singles. Gill on 45. Plays a fuller delivery round the front pad. Again picks out mid-wicket. This time smiling because he couldn't just find that gap. 2 balls left in this over. And in terms of England's chances in the competition, how are you feeling?
I think they're in a fairly good position. I mean, I know they've lost the...
As Miraz this time bowls, quick single taken. This time Indian batters finding the gap, and Gill running to the danger end gets in comfortably.
It's easy to look at the last series and go, well, they whitewashed against India, but that's in India against the team who are favourites for this tournament. But playing in Pakistan, playing in a different group, playing different sides, you have to back them.
Potentially on pitches where England, or a lot of the English players, have had a lot of success smacking some bowlers around. I know in a different format, particularly the likes of Harry Brook, who had a hard time over in India, but has a very good record in Pakistan.
Yeah, absolutely.
As this time Miraz, a drag down, it's been pulled away, he beats the 2 fielders inside the ring, behind square, on the onside, goes away for 4 runs, 22 overs gone. Kohli on 22. Shubman and Gill on 46, and the score 1-1-1 for 1. A few more thoughts from you, Roshan, and then you're going to be joined by Nikesh Ragani.
Well, this is a low pressure chase for India. They're going along at the sort of speed that they want to, really, because they're getting the runs away, they're getting the boundaries here and there, and I think the onus really is on Bangladesh to not become lethargic in the field. They do need wickets if they want to stem the flow of runs, because at the moment a couple of odd spinner overs where the run rate dips a little bit isn't going to have an effect on the wider picture of this match.
111 for 1 then, India, after 22 overs. Interesting talking about winners and predictions for this competition. I mean, Afghanistan, definitely a lot of people's shout to make the semi-finals at least. So unlucky really not to make the semi-finals of the last ODI World Cup. Did make the last 4 of the T20 World Cup, and looking good coming into this tournament once again as Rishad continues, and Shubman Gill just nudges it down to long on for a single. They've managed to keep the core of their side together, haven't they? The sort of star players, obviously, led by the world-class Rashid Khan, but you've got players like Ramanullah Gurbaz at the top of the order, so exciting as well, and becoming more consistent as time has gone on. Kohli pushes out to 1 from Rishad, just drives it straight back to the bowler in his follow-through, no run.
Yeah, they beat Bangladesh 2-1 in a one-day series at the end of last year. I think it was played at Sharjah, and they just look a complete side. They just have, the kind of the fit athleticism, the ability, but also the kind of calm mental state to sort of just get results out in a way that Bangladesh haven't demonstrated recently.
I'm going to ask you a question after this delivery from Rishad about that mental attitude and that mental toughness, as Kohli's beaten past the outside edge. Good delivery through to the keeper, no run. A lot of the top Afghan players play in a lot of these franchise competitions around the world, including the top competitions like the PSL and the IPL. How much of that do you think comes into it when you talk about mental strength?
I think it plays a huge factor. You're playing with the best international players from around the world. You're playing in high pressure situations. It's a lot of quite often T20 leagues, which are a lot more intense than one-day cricket. I think the experience they get is invaluable.
Kohli back, cutting in the air, taken at point. Rishad removes Virat Kohli for 22. Blows a kiss to the heavens. Kohli with his usual wide-eye stare, as if to say, how did that happen? How did I do that? But he has to make his way back. India 112 for 2.
I think Virat will look back at this innings and think it was actually a bit sluggish in the end. Never really got going, never really took the pressure on for India, and in the end a slightly kind of odd-looking cut shot catches him out. Rishad gets the breakthrough, Bangladesh have a second, but now the question is, can Bangladesh turn the screw, or do India pick up where they left off and just keep the foot on the gas?
So Kohli gone for 22 from 38 balls. A little bit sluggish, as you say. No real fluency to his innings. And that brings to the crease Shreyas Iyer. Another one of India's young guns. I say young, but quickly becoming vastly experienced in the white ball formats. As we look at the reaction of Gautam Gambhir, India head coach, on the India balcony there. Not too impressed with the way this game has gone, from Bangladesh being 5 down so early and then recovering and then India, after a good start, slowing up a little bit, and then Kohli getting out in that fashion. But Shreyas Iyer, fabulous player, average of close to 50 himself, over 40. He's facing up here to the leg spin of Rishad, slip in place. Rishad goes full and Shreyas defends his first delivery into the offside. No run. Kohli trying to create some room for himself, really. It wasn't wide enough to be cut, but he was leaning back towards the leg side and just getting it off the toe of the bat in the end as Shreyas defends his second ball into the offside. No run. 23 overs gone. Bangladesh 112 for 2. Just the one from that Rishad over and the wicket of Virat Kohli. Outstanding stuff from the leggy.
Yeah, I think Bangladesh and Afghanistan, the comparisons are inevitable with Bangladesh having played, Test cricket and cricket at the highest level for a bit longer. But Afghanistan, the way their players are now picked up across the world and are given opportunities, they're getting the no objection certificates. It's something that Bangladesh can learn from it. Like a great example is Rishad Hossain, who we've just seen bowling there. He was bought by the Hobart Hurricanes in the BBL. But then couldn't get an NOC because the BPL was on at the same time. Ended up missing their first 2 games because he wasn't picked because he's a leg spinner. And I just think maybe for the greater good of Bangladesh cricket, the BCB needs to think a bit bigger picture.
Mustafizur Rahman back in the attack into Shubman Gill, who defends. No run. Bangladesh made their Test debut in 2000, wasn't it, against India?
Against India, yeah.
And they put up a good show in that first innings.
Got 400 in the first. I don't know how differently I thought the next 20 years would go after that first innings.
What a start. Who was the centurion?
Aminul Islam.
Aminul Islam. Yeah, those were the days of Bangladesh cricket being up and coming and looking quite exciting at certain points, because the year before they'd beaten a very strong Pakistan side in the ODI World Cup. That's a lovely drive from Gill, but straight to mid-off. They go through for the single. In fact, they don't go through for the single. Shreyas Iyer was sent back and he would have been a long way out of his crease had that throw been a direct hit. Let's have a look at the running here. It was Gill who initially made the movement a third of the way down the track. Didn't really go in with a loud shout of no. It was just a quick hand up and then turned his back on Shreyas Iyer, who was left in no man's land.
Yeah, there's a bit of fumble from Mustafizur Rahman as the ball came in. Not the cleanest of takes. I wonder if that dew factor started to settle in. The ball's a little bit wetter, having run through the outfield just then. A chance of Bangladesh gone.
Mustafizur in again, and Gill defends into the onside for no run.
In terms of franchise cricket, I think like these ICC tournaments are so important for Bangladesh players to sort of demonstrate their ability, and quite often they underperform at these ICC tournaments, which means that nobody's looking at them going, well, here's a player we could take on, or here's a player who might, bring the crowds in or sell a few shirts. It just doesn't happen, unfortunately.
Midway through this 24th over then, Mustafizur runs in, delivers. Gill punches off the back foot out towards deep cover. Moves on to 48 with that single. I mean, the Bangladesh Premier League, it has had its problems over the years, hasn't it? I mean, in the early days, reports of players not getting paid on time and those kinds of things, which then, I guess, prevents, some of the top players in the world from travelling to places like that. If it's got a bad reputation of not paying on time, then and there's other options available to some of these players. It hasn't really sort of kicked off as well in the way that you'd expect, similar to the Bangladesh national team.
No, I completely agree on it. The BPL seemed to start off quite promising. There were big names in there early on, but that seems to have drifted away.
Mustafizur finds the edge of Shreyas Iyer, but it goes through a vacant slip region and away for 4. Just pushing away from his body there, Shreyas, and it was a genuine edge. It's a good delivery from Mustafizur, but the scorecard reads 4 more.
4 more indeed. Yeah, in the early days there were big names in the BPL, but then the problem became that it was all the overseas players who were the top performers, and actually the local players didn't really get much of a look in or gain as much as it was hoped they would. But in more recent years it sort of swung the other way too far, and they can't get hold of those big names because of all the other competing leagues.
Final ball of the over is worked into the leg side by Gill towards mid-wicket. He'll take the single. 24 overs gone, 118 for 2, so another 111 runs required for India. They've still got potentially 26 overs to get them. They'd hope they won't need all 26 overs. Gill 48 from 66 now, Shreyas Iyer 5 from 4. I mean, they had Chris Gale, didn't they?
They did,
initially?
yeah. They had Gale, yeah. They had a freebie. They
arguably the greatest ever
T20
opener. Yeah.
But the problem now is, if the main story coming out of Bangladesh is that your overseas players aren't getting paid, or it's a hassle to get paid, or team owners are saying they're not going to pay players because they're not personally satisfied. It's dreadful PR for the tournament. Why would you go over there and risk it when you can play for any other league in the world?
Rashad continues then into a 5th over. Really good figures, 1 for 10. Starts with a dot ball to Iyer, who defends outside off stump.
What I think is key is having performances in tournaments like this where the global audience is watching.
Rashad strays onto the stumps and Iyer manages to flick leg side for a single. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You've got to perform on the biggest stage, and that's what Afghanistan did to start with. That's how their players eventually got picked up by these leagues, and obviously they can't have their own league, but it just sort of raised the stock of Afghan players throughout the squad, really, because leading the way was somebody like a Rashid Khan. As Rashad goes too full to Gill. It's driven out towards deep cover, another single taken. But then, the Mohamed Nabis of this world, who was captain, during the 2015 World Cup and has had various spells as captain, his stock rose as Afghanistan started to perform well in these tournaments. And then, the knock-on effect came with the likes of Ramanullah Gurbaz and Naveen-ul Haq and many others. Rashad offers some width to Iyer, who punches through the covers for a single.
Yeah, the opportunities for the Bangladesh players haven't been really there, and it's a combination of things. I think poor performances in ICC tournaments haven't helped, but then we do get players like Rashad Hossain, who I think took 14 wickets in the T20 World Cup last year. That has got his name up in auctions across the world, but then you just need a bit of support from the board. Of course, a board is going to always want your player to play in their home T20 tournament, but would a stint with the Hobart been good for him? Of course.
Cut by Gill, straight to Miraz there at backward point, no run. Yeah, I mean there's probably a step too far, isn't it, when you've got a home domestic competition at the same time as the BBL.
Yeah,
you can't release a player for that.
No.
That would be bad PR, even worse than some of the usual PR. Single for Gill into the onside towards mid-wicket, and that's 50 for Shubman Gill. 50 from 69 balls. It's a gentle round of applause from his teammates and coach, and slightly more enthusiastic from the fans in the Dubai Stadium.
Well, he's been a good 50 actually. He's supported Rohit Sharma early on. He's seen the wicket of Kohli fall around him, but it's still there. And he's playing very patiently. He's played some nice shots, got a couple of boundaries, but nothing too showy. Just getting the job done professionally.
A couple of nice shots in there. 5 boundaries and a 6. That 98-metre 6 was an absolute monster of a hit over deep mid-wicket. He's been very watchful as well in between. Mustafiza into a 6th over. He's already conceded 40 runs. Starts off with a dot ball as Gill defends into the onside.
I just wonder how much Bangladesh are still I've said it several times now, ruined not having that third spinner in the team today. I wonder, had Nassim Ahmed been playing, would that have helped just constrict the run rate, maybe finding the odd wicket? Because Fizz and Taskin have not played to their potential today at all.
Well, India have found it tougher going against the spin of particularly Rashad Hossain. Mustafiza again angling one across over towards the off stump, across the right-hander, defended by Gill, offside, no run. It's got a bit of a sort of going through the motions type feeling at the moment, this game. India managing to knock it around, stay well ahead of the game. Bangladesh don't really look like taking a wicket. Gill still on strike, comes down the track, tries to force it through the onside, but gets an inside edge onto pad, no run.
Well, this is it. As this one-day team goes into a transition, you know, with Tamim retiring, Shakib unlikely to come back, there are roles and gaps to fill. And, you know, for the last sort of decade, 15 years, you want a wicket, you give it to Shakib. And I don't think Bangladesh quite know who that person is in the team now.
Yeah, well, Shakib certainly can't bowl at the moment. You surprised he isn't there as a batter?
No, I think if I'm honest, he's not played for a long time.
Onto the legs of Gill is Mustafiza, and that's been flicked away behind square on the leg side for a single.
Yeah, it's not really featured in the international side for a while. He hasn't played in the BPL. I think this was meant to be his swan song, so obviously the final curtain for probably the greatest cricketer Bangladesh has ever produced hasn't quite gone to plan. Am I surprised I didn't include him as a batter only? No, I think, you know, it was his form wasn't quite there, and he also hasn't featured in the one-day team for some time now. So I think they felt maybe he was lacking the match practice.
Yeah, big call, but fair enough, you'd say, if he's not got the form behind him. Another dot ball as Shreyas defends offside. 123 for 2 then India. 229 that target. We're into the 26th over. 1 ball remaining in it. Yeah, certainly the greatest cricketer that Bangladesh have ever produced. Controversial though.
Oh yeah, not without his controversies.
I've got to admit, I mean, you should never do this sort of thing, but, you know, kicking the stumps in frustration at an umpire's decision, there's probably not one of us that hasn't wanted to do that at some point in our careers, be it club cricket or professional. Full driven by Shreyas out towards deep point, and it will just be a single. Of course, I'm not condoning that.
No.
But we've all imagined it.
Do you know what? I don't think I'd ever get that angry, but imagine kicking the stumps and then the awkward bit where you have to go pick them up afterwards once you calm down. Because no one else is going to put them in the ground for you, are they?
And then
I'm
face the however many matches you get banned for as well, and the fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not without controversies, but I mean, this final, if it is to be the final chapter with the bowling action, it's just a fascinating and sort of surreal set of events, because they all came about from this odd one-match stint for Surrey, which didn't need to happen. It was no, you know.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It just came
out the blue.
Out the blue, random game for Surrey, got picked up, and it's basically the end of his bowling career.
Yeah, pretty much. He's had 2 tests and both failed, so yeah, it's hard to see how he comes back.
Rishad continues full delivery outside off to Shreyas, who drives gently to backward point, no run.
From a Bangladesh fan perspective, it's frustrating that some of their greatest players have not had the proper send-offs. Like Tamim is now retired, but he pretty much did it on a Facebook post, having not been in the team since the 2023 World Cup, or prior to that. Same with Shakib now, so it'd be great to have a send-off for these players.
Shreyas again forward in defence, solid but no run. With Tamim Iqbal, I mean, he really was an exciting opening batter and highly successful, particularly in this format. Wasn't exactly treated very well even when he was in the side, according to him and his supporters, of course. Another dot ball.
Yeah, he's been very he's respectful of the privacy of what actually happened. He hasn't named names, he hadn't said specifically what had happened, but had implied again and again that he wasn't treated fairly by the board, especially when he was captain. Rishad
floats another one into Shreyas. This time he does get it away for a single down to long off. 125 for 2.
But there were conversations, especially when the new board came in, the new administration. There were conversations with the captain Shanto asking him to come back to play in the Champions Trophy, and he took pretty much until the day before the deadline to say, actually, I haven't been in this team for a couple of years, I'm not going to rejoin.
Full and lofted over cover by Gill. It will just be a single out to the sweeper on the offside. Boundaries drying up in recent times for India. Into the 27th over. Still 103 needed from 139 available balls.
It does look like the pitch is slowing down ever so slightly.
Another cut attempted by Iyer, but can't beat backward point. So dot ball to finish off that 6th over from Rishad Hossain. Figures of 1 for 16 so far. India 126 for 2 after 27. 52 from 74, Shubman Gill. Shreyas Iyer 9 from 14. Shubman Gill, one of the, I guess you could call him a disciple, or a sort of product of some coaching and mentorship by Indian legend Yuvraj Singh, who's also very, very close to Abhishek Sharma, who's been highly successful in the T20 format. Now that does makes me feel odd anyway, when Yuvraj Singh is mentoring younger players. I remember him coming through in a Champions Trophy in 2000. Gill knocks the next ball of the Mustafiza spell for a single, backward of square on the leg side. 84 from 80 he made against Australia on his debut, his international debut for India, in a winning cause in Kenya. That 2000 Champions Trophy. Zahir Khan and Yuvraj Singh making their debuts in that one.
Yeah, there was a time when the Champions Trophy would be rotated amongst slightly up-and-coming nations. I think Bangladesh hosted the 98 one. Then it was Kenya.
Yep. Mustafiza full to Shreyas, and it's flicked out towards deep mid-wicket. Will be a couple of runs. Bit of work to do for the sweeper out there on the leg side. I mean, it used to be sort of every couple of years, and then it moved to a 4-year cycle.
It used to be a knockout tournament.
It did, yeah. I mean, it used to be called the ICC Knockout, didn't it?
Correct, yeah. You sort of wonder how much life, I know it's a debate that will happen, but how much life it has left as a tournament, but here we are.
Here's a question. Do you remember all the host countries then, from 98 onwards?
Absolutely
you've named
not.
2.
Definitely not.
Try your best, I'll give you the years and you try your best. Mustafiza straying too wide that time to Shreyas, who just punches it backward of square on the offside for 4 runs. There is that welcome boundary for India after a bit of a dry period in the last few overs. That'll make Shreyas Iyer certainly feel a little bit better about things. So 98 Bangladesh, 2000 Kenya, 2002. I'll give you a clue. It was a shared Champions Trophy winners that year.
Was that India Sri Lanka sharing it?
Yeah, it was, because of the ridiculous rule of having a reserve day, yes, but then restarting the whole match on the reserve day. Full ball, Shreyas hits it, tries to hit it over mid-off, doesn't quite clear mid-off, and Shanto takes a pretty simple catch off the toe end of the bat from Shreyas Iyer, and Mustafiza does get his wicket. Shreyas Iyer gone for 15. Well, Bangladesh not quite out of it yet. 133 for 3 India in the 28th over.
Well, that'll be exactly what the Fizz needed. He's been very expensive today. He's struggled with his line and length, but he's got a decent wicket there. A good catch by the captain, Shanto, out in the field. And Bangladesh are taking wickets at regular intervals now, but is it too little too late?
Well, it might well be, but the more inroads they can make into this Indian lineup might serve them well for their next match. India need 96 to win from 134 balls. Akshar Patel, who has been batting at 5 throughout that England series, does come in at 5 here, just to give that left-hand option in the top order for India. So yeah, 2002 shared, because basically Sri Lanka made 220 odd batting first. India were like 40 for 1, and then it rained. And instead of continuing at 40 for 1, they started the next day, even though the forecast was rubbish for the second half of the day. So they got to exactly the same thing. Sri Lanka got again about 230 or something. India were about 40 or 50 for 1, and again it rained. It was ridiculous. And then that awkward picture of Sourav Ganguly and Sanath Jayasuriya both holding the trophy, looking well. Jayasuriya looked a little bit happier than Ganguly. Ganguly was fuming. Yeah, ridiculous, but I'm glad that when we do have reserve days now, we just carry on the game.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Who was host nation there then?
That was a question for you, Roshan.
I know, I was trying to palm it back off. That's right, I've got 2 more balls to pass time, and then Melissa's not going to ask me the same question.
Right, Mustafiza continues. That's a dot ball from Akshar Patel, first delivery of his innings. You're Googling?
Maybe. It's good to research these things, right?
It's good. You're not getting the wiki page of all ICC champions. You are. You actually are. Oh my God. Right, I'll tell you. Right, you can test me then. I've not got the page up. Sri Lanka, 2002. 2004 was England. West Indies won in the dark.
Yeah.
I'm giving you extra bits of information here as well, by the way. Let's just see this over completed from Mustafiza. Akshar does get off the mark with a flick into the leg side for a single. 134 for 3 after 28. Melissa's going to come in on commentary, so you can get on the mic, but I'll stay on while I try and name. 2006 was India.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Australia won. And Ricky Ponting shoved the then ICC head Sharad Pawar, and that caused a lot of controversy in India when he wanted to collect the trophy. 2009 is a 3-year gap, wasn't there? 2009. I can't remember who hosted 2009. I'll give you the rest. 2013 England.
I don't know, I've already been let down.
2017 England.
It gets easy after that, doesn't it?
And then now here we are.
That's not a bad run, to be fair. South Africa.
2009 South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, Australia won it again, didn't they? And that was the first time they had the white blazers as well.
Do you think if you went on Mastermind, your specialist subject would be the Champions Trophy?
Probably not. World Cups maybe. Anyway, take it away, Melissa.
It's very impressive.
Rishad into the attack. Bowling is 7th, and there's a heave from Axar.
I think if I had to have a cricket-based specialist subject, I'd just choose the most specific thing, like maybe a single game, maybe a specific innings, like, I don't know, Bangladesh's innings against Australia in 2005.
That last delivery just pushed back towards the bowler for no run. I mean, I did walk into the box this morning and say, I've really done my homework, but I did say I'm not really sure until a few months ago what the Champions Trophy was. As down on one knee as Axar, he sweeps the ball square of the wicket on the onside, single taken, 135 for 3. All I remember is I was in Cardiff for a 100 game, and this boy who I used to babysit, and him and his dad went to the 100 game. And I brought them up to the commentary box to give them a bit of a tour round. And someone, a very kind person from the media, went and gave the little boy I used to babysit his Champions Trophy, like media kind of
media
like
pass, yeah.
the lanyard, which was really sweet. It was very kind of him. As this time going back, and Gill just slaps the ball into a vacant straight mid-wicket region on the onside. Single again, 136 for 3.
Do you know, I'm not mad at the return of a knockout format. It's just a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I question Nikesh might have a better understanding of this, as this time using his feet, flicking the ball away. Axar down towards mid-on as the drums start in the background. Why they started moving away from the more kind of associate nations, was it? I think I can guess, but also I guess factors like infrastructure, having grounds which can handle all the teams. But it would be great to kind of see the return of this competition. As driving is Gill out towards deep cover, single to the total, 138 for 3, 29 overs gone, 4 from that over from Rishad. You know, going to Zimbabwe, and I'm trying to think of kind of like other good examples. Papua New Guinea, not sure they'd have, maybe Ireland,
Scotland, yeah. Netherlands
would be great. I mean, we saw how England fared in the one-day game when they went over, and how many balls got lost. I think it'd be good fun. Or maybe like a European one, because we've got European cricket, and they're good grounds. Let's go over. Also, some of the best moments in cricket have taken place in European cricket.
League, yeah.
But yeah, I suspect, obviously, wanting to go to countries where they could get the bigger crowds in. It's kind of deviated from the original purpose, though.
Yeah, I love the idea of Kenya hosting it in 2098, Bangladesh before pre-test years.
So into the attack for a second spell is Tanzim. Slower ball to begin with, just guided down towards deep third. Fielded for a single by Taskin. 139 for 3. India need 90 from 125 balls.
It's interesting they've brought both pacers back on, I think maybe with the juice and moisture setting in the evening, perhaps a little bit more in the pitch for them.
I think Tanzim bowled a really good first spell as well.
Yeah.
Just probably hit the areas which Bangladesh would have wanted Mustafiza and Taskin to kind of deliver on. He bowls with a heavy ball, as this time around the wicket to Ahmed, hits him on the pad. Bit of bat involved, or if not, at least too high for a shout for leg before. About 80 miles per hour there from Tanzim. And even though it's not, you know, a high pressure situation still, a 90 off 124 balls isn't the biggest stress for India, but what happens if they suddenly lose 3 wickets? I know it's a lot to say.
It's a lot to ask for Bangladesh, yeah, isn't it? I mean, even if they lost 3 wickets, you'd still fancy them, wouldn't you?
Tanzim outside the off stump, giving himself room. Ahmed finds wide mid-off. I guess it's more the element of Bangladesh need the wickets.
Yeah.
But actually, if they continue to just slow things down, dot up, again, it comes back to that question, have they got the bowling combination right? Probably not. They probably should have bowled or played another spinner. But
yeah,
if they can just contain India, stop them from scoring these boundaries, then we might have a closer game on our hands at least. It wasn't a particularly close game in the opening game yesterday between New Zealand and Pakistan, as this ball back of a length. Ahmed finds extra cover for no run.
but that was the combination Bangladesh used to play for years and years. It was 2 pacers and then 3 spinners, and yeah, the pacers would just sort of, use the new ball, and then your trio of spinners would come in, take wickets, choke the run flow. But I think since Bangladesh have had this pace revolution, to the point where we're leaving good pacers behind out of the squad, I think Bangladesh are looking to lean on those pacers, but they haven't had the conditions well today.
Tanzim shorter and pulled over the inner ring by Ahmed. He just picked up on the length nicely. 4 runs, moves to 7 off 10. India 143 for 3. And he's been bowling that back of a length, but that one just a bit too short. Ahmed's a pretty tall man, and so being able to just get on top of the bounce and get enough elevation on it to get it over the inner ring.
Yeah, very, very gentle twist of the hips, and puts it away nicely, and that'll be another 4 for India as they just sort of now start to trundle along to this target.
Tanzim, this time straying onto the pads, flicked away. Fielder deep, sweeping on the leg side, keeps it down to a single. End of that over. Tanzim bowled 5, none for 30 his figures, 30 overs gone. India 144 for 3. I liked the expression, the gentle twist of the hips. Sounds like something you would hear on Strictly, and you'd be praised for it. So Gill on 56 off 78. Ahmed 8 off 11. As Roshan Alam can take a bit of a break. Got any nice snacks to keep yourself going? Oh no. Yeah, any snacks? Oh, good. So there was a chocolate bar earlier. I've got a pack of cookies next to me, which I've not been sharing with anyone. I'm sure everyone's noticed. They are gluten-free though, so you probably don't want them. They don't taste very edible. In comes Rishad. And this one's a top edge. It's gone high into the night sky. Is there a fielder underneath it? Takes the catch. It's Rishad off his own bowling. Ahmed goes for 8 off 12. Indian fans in the crowd, hands on their heads, thumbs down. God, I wouldn't want the kind of Roman emperor treatment if I just got out and there was people in the crowd giving me the thumbs down. Tamal Mills is back next to me. A big wicket take. Me and Roshan were just saying, I mean, India's still very much on top, but if Bangladesh can get a few wickets here, they can put a bit more pressure on India.
Yeah, and they've got to keep thinking wickets, got to keep taking wickets. The win predictor has dropped from 97% down to 92.
Oh wow.
So it's a big swing in the game. Still 20 overs left to play. But yeah, India's still well on top. It's not been as fluent or as dramatic as maybe as what we thought, especially the way that Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma started the power play, scoring 70 runs off the first power play. They've then only scored another 70 from the next 20 overs. So it's been slow going. Credit to Bangladesh, they've bowled pretty well. The pitch is obviously tired a little bit and got a little bit slower and lower, which was the reason why Bangladesh chose to bat first. Obviously they hoped they would have had a larger total on the board, but India's still on their way to victory. They just need to just buckle down, I guess, and get the job done from here.
And KL Rahul, the new batter for India, a good person to come in at this stage and just have that level-headed approach to batting alongside Shubman Gill, who's 56 off 78. See him doing his preparation before coming into the middle. Currently ranked 16 in the ICC rankings, mainly because of that average of 47 in one-day cricket. It's between him and Rishabh Pant in terms of selection for getting into this side. There's been a bit of a kind of behind-the-scenes debate from those in and around Indian cricket of who should be the priority to get into the side. Is there room for Rishabh Pant, even not with the gloves? What would your thoughts be?
Yeah, look, Rishabh Pant, he's box office, particularly in T20 cricket. He's an outstanding player. I've bowled at them both. And to be fair, the last time I bowled at KL Rahul, he hit me all around Mumbai, and he scored 100 for the Lucknow Super Giants. It was at the time, and that was the last game I played at the IPL. I haven't been back since, so I've been on the wrong side of that battle. So I obviously can speak highly of both players.
Sorry to bring up some bad memories.
That's okay.
It's just life as a bowler. In terms of how your kind of season's looking, of course you're playing across the winter in different leagues and stuff, but have you started to get involved with Sussex and thinking about the upcoming season, particularly the T20 Blast?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm in and around other leagues, and whenever I'm back home, I live in Hove, so I'm straight back in with the boys at Hove, just a bit of gym work or messing around in the nets and stuff. Having a bit of time off bowling now, just after a busy winter. But yeah, no, I'm back in with the boys now. At the moment, I don't have any cricket until the Blast in the summer.
As in comes Rashad. Rahul drives towards wide mid-off, dot ball. So you have a really nice break, just focused on workload.
Yeah, it's a bit too long, if I'm being honest. You always want to have breaks and let the body kind of reset, but you want to get back playing.
As Rashad outside the off stump, leaning into this one. It's KL Rahul. Again, won't find a run. I mean, could you be tempted? Is there any other leagues? Is anyone listening? Where there's some rogue... There might be... I mean, we're speaking about the Champions Trophy being held in Kenya. Is there a Kenyan league?
Oh, I'll go anywhere, yeah. I'll go anywhere where there's a few quid on offer.
There you go, you heard it here.
But the PSL is normally a league I've played a lot in. We won it last year.
As that last ball just pushed into the covers for no run.
But unfortunately didn't get picked up in the draft this year. So yeah, the PSL goes on in April. So hopefully I'll end up out there one way or another if an opportunity comes. But yeah, if not, I'll just be getting ready for the Blast with Sussex in May.
As in comes Rashad, side the off stump. Going back and almost playing that shot off 1 foot was KL Rahul. Can't beat the fielder again though. And Sussex, of course, being in Div 1 this year in the county championship, there must be a bit of a buzz around the side in the build-up to the season starting, as this one, Fuller, driven down the ground, single to the total, 145 for 4. Particularly as Sussex is a very young team, and it's a very homegrown kind of squad, which has worked hard to get where it's now sat in Div 1.
Yeah, no, last year was a brilliant year for the club in all regards, really. Got obviously the boys did brilliantly in Division 2, the Championship, winning that and getting promoted. And then with the T20s, we made it to finals day as well. So last year was a really good year. I think Paul Farbrace deserves a lot of credit since he came in a few years ago now. He's really upped the standards at the club. And yeah, you're right. For the most part, we've got a pretty young squad, but we've got a few more older heads. I'm one of the older players there at the club now. But yeah, I guess we've changed the mindset as a little bit of not just being satisfied and having younger players as an excuse and expecting to win. And yeah, last year was brilliant, and it's great to see the boys in Div 1, and fingers crossed they start really well. And because last year we definitely transferred that good form in the 4-day stuff into the T20s.
Tanzim charges in and drilled towards extra cover. A bit of a fumble from the fielder, but not costly. And Rahul who's on 1. Stays on strike, 145 for 4 at the start of the 32nd over. I mean, if you always wanted to go and show support to the team, you could head down to the ground early April, sit there and enjoy the delightful weather that comes with April County Championship.
I'll be there. I'll be training. I'm in with the boys all the time. I bowl red ball in the nets. I join in with training. I'll be in with the boys every day. You just won't see me out there for.
As Tanzim bowling, driven through the covers. Out towards the sweeper on the boundary, keeps it down to a single, 146 for 4. So
you just won't see me out there for 100 overs in the field. I'll be sat watching.
The Sussex changing room is hit by a disastrous plague or bout of injuries, and suddenly they go, who can we turn to? And you're in the corner wearing 16 layers to keep out the cold, and suddenly the red ball's in hand.
I'd love to play a game. I'd hate to think what would happen to me, but.
Tanzim in, edged, but a controlled edge, you'd say, as the ball races towards the little. What's that camera called on the buggy? I think the roving. The roving.
Like the roving camera.
The kind of roving camera. The ball went down and bounced on it, which isn't a good thing to happen if technology ever revolts against the human race. You don't want to be the person who played the shot that hit the robot. That's all I'm saying. But I think it's one of those ones where. If you were the bowler, you would have said that was an edge, and if you were the batter, you said I was in complete control of that one.
Yeah, to be fair, even the bowler in me said that Shubman Gill looked in control of that shot.
Tanzim, this time, back of a length straighter, means that Gill can only drop his hands on the ball, defend it into the onside for no run. 150 for 4, 2 balls left in this over. Well, even though there's the potential that you might fall apart if you did play a red ball game, I'm sure the Hove and everywhere would absolutely flood into the ground to come see the miracle.
Maybe one day. I think you're overestimating my influence on the local area as well.
Hey, the posters would go up, your 19-year-old face would be on them, and everyone would love it. That ball hit to mid-wicket for no run.
Siren sounding, and the local community will flood through the gate.
I'm imagining kind of like air raid siren sounds, Facebook posts on every single kind of local community spot saying you'll never guess it, guys. Not only have they changed the bin dates, but Tamal Mills is playing a red ball game for Sussex. And I'm sure there's plenty of people listening who are very excited for April and come the start of the English and Welsh county season. There's a quick single taken to mid-on, and Simya, he was just diving, looking to underarm flick the ball at the stumps, just did the dive bit but didn't quite do the picking up the ball bit. So it means that by the end of the 32nd over with that single, India 151 for 4. They need 78 runs from 108 balls. Shubman Gill, he's been there since the start, 61 off 82. KL Rahul new to the crease, 2 off 7. 4 wickets gone in this innings. Virat Sharma, the first one to go off the bowling of Taskin for 41. Then Virat Kohli dismissed by the leg spinner Shreyas Iyer. He was deceived, you would say, or potentially just played a bit more of a false shot off the bowling of Mustafiza. Mustafiza, who hasn't been at his finest today. And actually, quite funnily, my friend who is listening back at my work, who isn't necessarily a cricket fan, but she thought this whole time, rather than Mustafiza, we'd been saying Mr. Fizzle, and had to Google who Mr. Fizzle was. So there we have it. But Taskin, opener, is back into the attack. Looking to pull that one was Gill. It wasn't quite there for the pull shot, and in the end he just ends up playing a more of a strapple towards mid-on for no run. I think maybe we should give more players Mr. Men-esque names like Mr. Fizzle.
I wouldn't like to know what my teammates would call me.
I'm not going to stray into that territory either.
Let's move on.
As Taskin runs in now over the wicket, using his feet, does Gill. Pushes the ball towards mid-off, quick single taken, and even though the fielder there, Shanto, was quite whippy in terms of his response, he was quite deep set inside the ring. It was comfortable in the end for India. Of course, this game being played in Dubai. India not travelling to Pakistan for this competition. I know it's been talked about quite a lot before this competition, but in terms of I guess this decision being approved, did you kind of have any thoughts when you heard that India weren't going over to Pakistan? Of course, Pakistan went over to India for the most recent 50 over World Cup. As Taskin bowls, driven towards mid-off. This time there's no quick single available. And obviously different countries have different kind of contexts and events going on. But what were your initial thoughts in terms of India competing but in a different kind of ground and country?
I mean, I wasn't surprised when the final decision was made. It's been the case for a while, hasn't it? And it's disappointing and it's a shame. I think seeing India play Pakistan in Pakistan would have been, must-see TV. Everybody would have tuned in, I'm sure, just to see what the atmosphere was like.
Taskin Fuller, driven past his outstretched boot, and a chance of a run-out here if he had hit. Maybe Rahul would have been in a bit of trouble. It was Shanto, the captain, with the throw at the stumps. I think Rahul was acutely alert to the situation, running to the danger end. Single moves the score to 153 for 4. I mean, it certainly would have felt like, obviously, an advantage for Pakistan as well in that game, having the home crowd behind them. We saw the atmosphere when India and Pakistan played against each other in India, and any time kind of Pakistan hit a boundary, there was almost silence around the stadium. And it was a big home advantage for India in that occasion, something that Pakistan are probably not going to have when they play their game in Dubai. This one guided towards point for no run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been lucky enough, I've played quite a lot of cricket in Pakistan in the PSL in front of full stadiums that are relatively neutral, and even those atmospheres are brilliant and loud and vibrant. So you can only imagine what it would be like, a full house for India, Pakistan, in Lahore or Karachi, wherever they would put it on. It would be awesome. I was in Melbourne when they had that brilliant game at the MCG with 95,000 people in, or however many it was. And you could hear the noise from all around the city pretty much. It's always a great spectacle, and I'm sure they'll get a good crowd in Dubai on Sunday as well.
Taskin outside the off stump, slashed away past the inner ring. Protection on the boundary comes in, keeps it down to a single. End of the over, 33 gone, 154 for 4. India requiring 75 from 102 balls. I mean, do we know much about the crowd to expect? I assume lots of people are probably going to be flying over. It's going to be great for Dubai tourism, not that they need the help, but it's going to be great for them for kind of that occasion. And it's a large stadium here as well, so I'm sure we can assume it's going to be pretty packed out.
Yeah, you'd assume so. Sunday as well, and there's a large Pakistani expat community in Pakistan, but you'd imagine a lot of people will be coming over from India for the game, and it'll be more an Indian-based crowd as opposed to obviously what it should be being as being a home crowd for Pakistan. So as I said, it's a shame, and it's also a shame that Pakistan have had to wait this long for an international tournament again and to host one, and there's a decent chance that if they lose this next game against India on Sunday, their final group game will be a home game and essentially be a dead rubber, which is a real shame. So but that's the way the game is at the moment.
Miraz into the attack, driven towards extra cover. I was just keeping an eye on that delivery, because before he bowled, he did this kind of very wide-eyed expression where he stuck his tongue out a really long way, and I didn't know if it was a kind of signal to the keeper as this one angled in, finds mid-wicket, does Gill. Whether it was I'm going to dart this one down the leg side and see if we can get him stumped kind of thing. Still could be a secret message, or maybe he was just doing a very unusual yawn. It's this time an unusual sweep pull, got down to it, gets a single out towards deep square. It wasn't quite that stretch of the sweep shot, and wasn't quite a pull shot, just accounting for that slightly lower bounce off the surface. Halfway through this 34th over, 155 for 4. 74 more runs needed for India, and they've got plenty of time to get them. I mean, speaking of rivalries, of course, England-Australia taking place on Saturday. And, I mean, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think, obviously, with the strength of the Australian team, there's Miraz bowling, gently leaning on this one and guiding it down towards long on. Single taken, 156 for 4. But then actually it's looking like a pretty depleted Australian attack, and particularly in terms of the ball. None of the big three there. Using his feet on this occasion as Gill beats the fielder at mid-wicket. Will find a single down the ground. 72 more runs needed for India. 1 ball left in this over.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been hit with a whole host of injuries, and Mitchell Starc pulled out for personal reasons, and Marcus Stoinis retired. So, yeah, their team looks very different and much less experienced.
Whereas bowls on the back foot is Rahul, and just slaps that one down the ground. Another single to finish the 34th over. 4 singles off it. A target of 229 in sight for India. They're 158 for 4.
Yeah, that should be a good contest, shouldn't it? Because Australia, they've got great depth in their stocks with all the bowlers and all-rounders. They're still that normally can't get a game, and now going to get a really good opportunity. The likes of Spencer Johnson and Nathan Ellis are still really high-quality fast bowlers. So yeah, that'll be a great game, I'm sure, on Saturday. And then, as we mentioned already, you've got the big game India-Pakistan on Sunday. So by Monday we'll have a good lie of how the group's set.
I'm particularly gutted that I've made quite a few plans this weekend, because I suddenly kind of clocked what games were happening. Fortunately, I'm seeing my dad on the Saturday and we're spending the day together, so I think
unfortunately. I hope your dad's not listening.
Fortunately, because he's a cricket fan. So
oh, sorry, I wasn't. Unfortunately, I'm seeing my dad on this weekend.
Oh no, I could never say that. As in comes Taskin, full toss, driven at mid-off. No single there as Rahul kicks his bat. No, fortunately I'm seeing him, and he's a big cricket fan, so I think I'll be able to persuade him to try and find a place to watch the cricket. The only issue being going into any pub in Bristol and saying, please can you put the cricket on when the Six Nations is on.
Yes.
I think I would get carried out of the pub.
Yeah, you're struggling there, I think.
There would be booze around the whole
city. Rugby won't start till 3.
Yeah, exactly. So
cricket can be on from 9. If you're going to the pub at 9 o'clock, then maybe there's something else that needs to be asked. But
anything goes on a Saturday. Full, clipped to mid-on, and India take the single as the fielder loses his balance. Mr. Fizzett allowing the single to be taken. 159 for 4. But yeah, Sunday I've got quite a few hours of kind of gym and then training for Gloucestershire, so I'm going to push for maybe a TV to be turned on in the corner, just so I can have obviously one eye on the very important information being shared with me, but a bit of a focus on India-Pakistan as well. Here comes Taskin. Outside the off stump. Not enough pace on the ball really for Gill to throw his hands for it. In the end, he just guides it towards the fielder. 70 runs needed from 93 balls. Fielders inside the ring at point. Extra cover, mid-on, mid-off, and a mid-wicket. So the potential, if Taskin does just pitch it up, for Gill to go over the top, if he thinks that the surface is almost true to pace, so allows him to get kind of worth for his shot. As this time it's just hooked away out towards deep backwards square. Fielder appears out of nowhere to keep that one down to a single, almost timed too well to Gill's detriment. 160 for 4. In the first 15 overs, India were 84 for 1. In the last 19.4 overs, 76 for 3. So it certainly got harder to bat on. And I mean, you called it at the start of this game in terms of Bangladesh's decision to bat first and how dry these pitches were going to, well, was and are potentially going to be in Dubai, meaning that it just gets a little bit harder for batters with that lack of pace on the ball. Slightly too pace nature. Fuller dropping it into the offside and taking a quick single. The fielder charging in from point, can't cut it off, and it's good awareness there from India. 68 runs needed.
Yeah, it always frustrates you as a bowler that when you feel like you've bowled the perfect delivery, angling in, good pace, top of off stump, defensive shot from the batter, and then they manage to run through for a quick single. That almost hurts you more sometimes than a boundary, because you feel like you've done everything right and still leak to single.
Well, here we go. England have named their 11 for their Champions Trophy opener.
Don't know why they do that.
I was just about to ask you this, because I find it absolutely insane. Because what happens if they show up to Lahore and it's like one of those pitches we've seen recently in the Pakistan Test series. Driven back to Taskin. It was a low full toss, and in the end, wasn't too much he could do with that one. 161 for 4. I mean, I'll let Nikesh Ragani read through that England side that's been announced. But as you say, I mean, why do you think England announced it so? Is it just pure confidence in their players? We'll get your thoughts to Mal, and then it'll be Nikesh.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. They'll obviously, you want to tell your team before. That's not uncommon. You want to let the boys know what the night before, so you go to bed knowing that you're playing. But yeah, I don't really see the advantage of naming your team publicly the day before and letting your opposition know what your 11 is going to be. You want to try and maybe keep a little bit of intrigue and also give yourself a little bit of flexibility should something change the next day, which of course they still have. But yeah, what do I know, I guess.
Well, look, I guess it's that Brendan McCullum kind of, this is what we've got. What have you got? Kind of, always sort of getting in there first, I guess. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about whether or not it's a particularly good idea. I'll get the side to you in just a moment. India 161 for 4. 35 overs gone, 68 needed from 90 balls. Shubman Gill still there on 66 from 93. Let's have a look. Here we go. Get the team up for that England game. Any predictions from you before I run through it?
No.
So here we go. Phil Salt, Ben Duckett, Jamie Smith at 3, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Joss Butler at 6, then Liam Livingston, Bryden Carse, Jofra Archer, Adil Rashid and Mark Wood. So they're going with that pace battery of Wood, Archer and Carse, and then the spin twins of Livingston and Rashid, with maybe some Joe Root thrown in there as well.
So it's Jamie Smith. He's the one that's come straight back in, hasn't he? Been injured for most of that India series, but he's slated to come in at number 3. So they're backing him to come in. I think they've got him down to keep wicket as well. So Phil Salt will move to the outfield, and Jamie Smith's going to come straight back in and bat number 3.
On paper, looks like a very strong team. It'll be interesting to see what the conditions are like in Lahore, and I'm sure they've obviously assessed the pitch and the conditions there and decided that pace heavy attack is the way to go. Still got a couple of spinners, of course, 3 potentially if Joe Root gets through a few overs there. We shall wait and see. But they did kind of go for that method in India, didn't they? It didn't quite work in Indian conditions, going with that pace heavy attack, but they were obviously preparing for the Champions Trophy as opposed to just trying to win that series at all costs. In India, it was more about getting that side together and playing together as much as possible before the tournament started. Some lovely shots of the buildings in Dubai at night. Talking of Champions Trophy matches over the years, got some highlights during this drinks break on our screen in front of us. Sachin Tendulkar basically going berserk against it was Virender Sehwag rather. You see, in the early days they did look so alike, didn't they, when they were batting? He idolised Sachin Tendulkar, did Virender Sehwag, but it was a Sehwag 126 and a Ganguly 117 that saw off England. India chasing down a steep target for 2002 in Colombo. 270 was the target. They did it with more than 10 overs to spare, 10 and a half overs to spare. So, making light work of that. Not making quite as light work of this 229. 15 overs left, 161 for 4. KL Rahul drives Mehdi Hasan through the offside for a single as we get back underway after the drinks interval. Some nice shots of Andy Caddick and the like playing for England back then.
Ian Blackwell scored an 80 for England in that game. Now first-class umpire on the county circuit.
Where the Hasan into Gill, who cuts away, backward of point for a single. Ian Blackwell, Somerset, big hitting left-hander.
Two spinners have bowled well here for Bangladesh. Rishad 2 for 21 from his 8 overs. Mehdi Miraz, who's bowling at the moment, only gone for 29 from his 7.2.
And here's again to Rahul, who tries to flick through the leg side but could only find the fielder there at square leg. No run. 66 needed from 87. I guess for the Indians, they'll be looking at it as an opportunity to get some players into form ahead of more testing circumstances later on in this particular tournament. Rahul with a single down the ground to long on. Stadium has filled up quite a bit as the evening has set in. Miraz into Gill, who does manage to find the gap on the leg side through mid-wicket for a single. Win predictor has got India at it's just ticked over actually after that single to 90.83%. Pretty fair, I'd say.
Yeah, still in control, aren't they, India?
Another single, is it? No, doesn't beat the diving mid-on, so still plenty of commitment in the field for Bangladesh, and it's the skipper Shanto there putting in the dive to prevent the single. So 4 from that over for Miraz. 36 overs gone, 165 for 4. India, 64 still needed from 84. As a side in this kind of position, I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as, you know, KL Rahul, an opportunity to spend some time at the crease, Shubman Gill to, you know, do the same, I guess, in these types of conditions. Is that the way you would prefer your side to go, or would you be of the mindset that we need to make a statement here? First match of the tournament, we need to show we're here to mean business.
Yeah, I'm more of a quick game's a good game type of guy. If you get the opportunity to finish it off, you'd like to see that. It's a more entertaining, more positive brand of cricket.
64 to win from 84. Taskin is in, and that's been guided away down to deep third for a single.
But in fairness, this, you know, you have to play the conditions that are in front of you, and this hasn't been an easy scoring wicket all day. Bangladesh obviously had to fight very hard for their runs earlier, and to be fair, Bangladesh have bowled pretty well. Aside from that, once they've gotten out of the power play, they've dragged their lengths back, they've bowled stump to stump. The spinners have bowled really well, so it hasn't been easy for India, albeit they know they haven't had to take too many risks, and they can afford to kind of ride out little passages of play that maybe they find it difficult.
Taskin into Rahul, who swipes across the line but straight down the throat of deep mid-wicket. Oh, but Jakar Ali has put it down. And Rohit Sharma allows himself a little smile on the Indian balcony because he put down a pretty simple one early on. And now Jakar Ali has done exactly the same. The only difference is Ali had plenty of time to set himself, didn't really have to move too far, and should have held on.
Yeah, it's a really, really poor effort from Jakar Ali. Short ball from Taskin wasn't really the best ball, but KL Rahul didn't execute the pull shot well. Clothed it out to deep square leg, who barely had to move, just a couple of steps in, comfortable height, and just punched it straight back out onto the turf. Bangladesh will know that they have to take their chances. KL Rahul isn't the type to offer many.
Taskin back into Rahul, who did run through for 2 on that one. Gets a single to mid-on, 167 for 4. It was as simple as they come, and it will be replayed on the big screen plenty of times, I'm sure, before this game is done. Jakar Ali knows it as well. Knew it straight away. What a big chance that was. And what a simple chance that was. In fact, they didn't run through for any. I think Rahul just thought, well, I'm gone here, as Gill flicks away fine for 4. Just to rub salt into Taskin's wounds there. It wasn't a Very good delivery though, straying down that leg side and is helped on its way by Shubman Gill, who moves into the 70s. 58 needed now from India.
Yeah, you're right. It's a poor ball from Taskin. Would have been a wide if Shubman Gill didn't get a bit of bat on it. It was well down the leg side, but a nice bit of timing. Just a little fine glance down to the vacant fine leg area. Maybe a bit of frustration from a few balls before, not quite concentrating on what you need to do from the bowler.
58 needed from 80. Gill still in his stance. Taskin delivers full. That's been well driven, but straight to mid-off. They do get through for a single. A tight single, but I think KL Rahul may have just been in his ground. Had the throw hit the stumps. 172 for 4 in the 37th over. I mean, it hasn't really been coming onto the bat, has it, the ball, all day. You've played in these conditions, obviously, very recently. You've played a lot of cricket out there, haven't you, in the UAE? Was your season with the Mumbai Indians, was that in the UAE, or that was the first season back in India, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you have played a lot of cricket out in this part of the world. I mean, is it just going to get worse and worse? Because they're only going to probably play on maybe a couple of different strips through this tournament. As Taskin completes his over. Rahul cuts, but straight to backward point, no run.
Yeah, there's been a decent amount of cricket played at Dubai International Stadium over the last 6 weeks or so. So they probably don't have too many fresh pitches to go to. We'll get a look on when the camera pans back to the wicket block. But yeah, they'll obviously move on to a fresh wicket for their next game. But yeah, it might be at the stage where the games are a bit more attritional, and it's like this where they start off slow and then they get that little bit slower. We haven't seen them, they're not turning square, it's not like they're going up and down, but they're slow, and you have to set quite defensive fields, and it can be quite tough to score against. We saw the Indian spinners get some purchase earlier. Kuldeep Yadav in particular was turning it both ways, so he'll have a big part to play as the tournament goes on. Yeah, you look at the square, you can see they've got a couple of other pitches in the middle that they'll bring up, bring them back up for the big game on Sunday in particular.
Gill forward in defence as Mehdi Hasan Miraz begins another over. 57 needed from 77. Very full delivery is the next one. It's been driven down too long on by Gill. Another single taken. Gill has faced exactly 100 balls for his 75. It's often a little bit of a throwback, isn't it, when you enter big ICC tournaments. Even the 2019 World Cup, I remember coming into it, England were scoring 400s for fun, and there was a lot of talk about, will they be the first side to score 500? Will it happen during the 2019 World Cup with that side that they had? And I remember Virat Kohli, who was captain of India, at the captain's press conference. Next delivery defended by by Rahul rather, but beats mid-off, so he will get a single. Kohli famously said at that conference that you'd probably see more scores of 230 and 220 and things like that, you know, some low scoring kind of thrillers, because the pressure of the World Cup, and obviously, you know, playing on some used wickets now and again as well, depending on where you go. And that was the case as Gill defends the next ball into the leg side for no run. You often see that at big tournaments, don't you? For one reason or another, you don't see as many sort of 350, 400 kind of scores. You see more below 300 scores, and sometimes exciting finishes even in those low scoring matches. Another single to Gill in the leg side.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's obviously right in saying tournament play, it has that extra level, doesn't it? That extra weight of pressure, and yeah, whereas bilateral series can tend to kind of blur into from one to the other, and there is that less level of pressure on them.
Mehdi Hasan completes the over into Rahul. It's a dot ball into the leg side. So 38 overs gone, 175 for 4, 54 still needed for victory for India for the final 12 overs. Shubman Gill, no doubt, will be eyeing up a potential 3 figures here. 24 runs away from what would be another ODI 100 for the #1 ranked batsman in this format. Indian fans already dancing in the stands. The Bangladeshi fans still in good spirits as well, which is nice to see. It's going to be Rishad Hossain back into the attack. He's bowled beautifully so far. 2 for 21 off his 8 overs. By far the pick of the bowlers, and maybe a final roll of the dice from the skipper Shanto to see if he can get another 1 or 2. He's in here to Gill, who gets a single to mid-on. A gentle flick. And tall spinners as well. Always very valuable. If you do have that extra bounce on offer, then obviously they can make the most of it. The point of delivery is a lot higher, but then on pitches like this you get the odd one that skids low, that element of surprise as well. As Rishad is in, very full to Rahul. It's in the slot and it's been hammered over long on for 6. Can't bowl there to this man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how tall you are, if you chuck it as a long half volley, it's going to go the distance. I think Minod and Ahmed were both up inside the ring, so he didn't have to do too much to find the boundary, but he got it right out of the middle of his bat. He knew straight away, didn't even bother looking to see how far it had gone. He knew it had gone far enough. Lovely shot from KL Rahul. Should have been out a couple of overs ago, dropped at deep square leg. Maybe looking to put his foot down now and get India home a little bit quicker and up the rate than what they've been doing the last few overs.
47 needed from 70, slightly shorter from Rishad, predictably, and it beats backward point. It was punched off the back foot by Rahul. Couple of runs added onto the total. Not the best bit of fielding there at backward point. 184 for 4 India in the 39th over. If they were batting first, India, even from this position, would be targeting somewhere in the region of 300. So it has been a good effort, and that's really without breaking too much of a sweat, knowing the target in front of them wasn't anywhere near 300. Next ball is defended by Rahul. Back down the pitch, no run. Bangladesh with plenty of questions around their top order, or most of their top order after this match. As Rahul knocks the next ball into the offside through the covers for a single. .84 metres, that's 6 from KL Rahul. One of the longer parts of the boundary. Didn't clear it by a long way. Gill back on strike, works the ball leg side for a single. So Gill happy to knock it around here. 43 needed from 66 now, 39 overs gone. 186 for 4. Gill on to 78 with that single off 104 balls. Rahul at the other end, 20 from 27. Gets a lot of stick, does KL Rahul, from sections of Indian supporters. He seems to deliver more often than not, and so much talent. I mean, the talent is undeniable, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said to Melissa the last time I bowled at him, he got 100 in a T20 game in the IPL. So I know firsthand just how talented he is and how destructive he can be. But yeah, you're right, he does seem to get a little bit more criticism than most.
Gill facing up to Mehdi Hasan at the start of a new over, knocks him away to long on for a single. I think sometimes the criticism is that he will start a series or a competition really well and then maybe fade away. But then you look at some of the other, bigger names which have been out of form recently, the Rohit Sharmas, the Virat Kohlis across Test cricket certainly, don't only recently have been getting criticised in the same sort of way. As Rahul gets a single with a flick into the leg side. It's a touchy subject at the moment with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, their place in that Indian Test side following that tour of Australia, even before that tour of Australia, to be honest, in some sections. But where do you stand on it at the moment? have they still got enough credit in the bank in that format?
They've kind of got an infinite amount of credit, it seems, doesn't it?
Full ball to Gill, and that's been flicked away into the leg side for no run. I mean, following that tour as well, you know, there are all sorts of rules brought in place by Gautam Gambhir and the BCCI about, you know, players travelling together, eating together, not having personal chefs on trips, not having wives and girlfriends for, you know, longer than a certain amount of time on a, you know, say a 5-test series. They can only have them for about half with them, and all sorts of different things, as we see another single into the leg side for Gill. A little bit of overkill, and you know, some people have said that, well, there's only really one guy that travels with his chef and, you know, 16 suitcases, and
who's that?
And it's not KL Rahul. Rahul defends into the leg side, no run. I mean, obviously, look, Virat Kohli's got his own diet plan and all these things, but you'd think that would be good, wouldn't you, from a player's point of view?
Yeah, it's different. It's, I guess, the Indians are they are Premier League footballers, you know, they are a level above anything else within cricket. So it is different, and yeah, it was interesting. It was good to read the kind of the rider and the list of things that Gautam Gambhir, you know, everybody has to travel on the team bus. So that kind of implies that, again, half of them were travelling in their own transport or had drivers and whatnot. I'm sure it's all well intended, and they just want to tighten things up a little bit, get back to the cricket, back to basics. Yeah, I'm sure it ruffled a few feathers, but I don't think, from what I've known and heard of Gambhir, I don't think he'll be too fussed about that.
No, I don't think so at all. Right, Tamal, thank you very much. Roshan Alam will replace you in just a moment as Rishad Hossain begins his final over. Shubman Gill defends away for no run. 189 for 4 then into this 41st over. Rishad's still got a slip in place into Gill. Bouncing delivery on the legs, which is whipped away into the leg side for another single. Any of the Bangladeshi players travel with personal chefs, do you know?
I don't think so. I mean, they seem to be eating out quite a lot in Dubai at the moment. I saw photos of them out with dinner.
There's plenty of options in Dubai, aren't there?
Yeah, I think they're eating well. I think they had dinner with Tamim Iqbal last night.
Okay.
Photos on social media, to be believed.
I'm assuming Tamim is probably part of one of the commentary teams for television out there, as next delivery is defended by Rahul, no run.
Oh, I'd hope so, unless he's just travelled out for morale support, but potential to be quite distracting, actually, having a former captain out there with you.
Yes.
But everyone seemed all smiles yesterday. They seemed to be eating some sort of spaghetti dish, I think it was.
Oh yeah, you did mention the spaghetti earlier on. 39 to win, make that 38 as Rahul cuts one away to deep point for a single. Yeah, apparently, this could just be rumours and reports and stuff. Virat Kohli ordered something from a restaurant which he frequents in Dubai quite often to the team hotel a couple of nights ago. Next delivery is defended into the offside, no run. I mean, it's usually those kind of things are fine, but given all the scrutiny around the Indian team and all these new rules coming in place, and I guess how strictly are these rules enforced by the BCCI and by Gautam Gambhir, and how much power ultimately would he have over somebody like a Virat Kohli? Those are the questions. Slightly shorter from Rishad, and that's been pulled away well by Gill in front of square. 4 runs, and quite a vicious punch of gloves between the two batters out there, and a smile from Shubman Gill. He enjoyed that.
Yeah, boundary to end. Rishad Hossain's otherwise quite fantastic bowling for overs today. I mean, you get to this sort of part of the game, you start looking for positives for Bangladesh, and I think his bowling has been one of them today.
Well, that was the final ball of his spell, and he finishes his 10 overs with figures of 2 for 38. That is outstanding in any context. So well done, Rishad Hossain, for that spell today. We saw him hit a couple of lusty blows with the bat as well, didn't we? A couple of sixes in that Bangladesh innings to help them get to that total of 229. An exciting cricketer.
Absolutely, yeah, great find for Bangladesh, and part of that kind of like new modern thinking cricketer. well, fitness and diet and those sort of things are really important. He often posts like working out and doing weights in the gym and eating healthy. He's a future star for Bangladesh.
Right, KL Rahul facing up to Mustafiza, who's in for his 8th over. First ball is defended into the leg side. No run. Lots of shots on the screen in front of us of Dubai at night. Obviously, we've been to Dubai several times ourselves and stuff. Plenty of tall buildings.
There's no shortage, is there? No shortage.
That's the takeaway, isn't it? Just look up and all you will see is skyscrapers lit up at night. Mustafiza again on that tight off-stump line. That's good bowling into Rahul. No run.
I actually think Bangladesh have lacked any sort of potency in the field. There was no real sense of urgency of going, let's start this in defence, let's go for wickets. A lot of wayward balls put away early on, and they never really sort of bounced back. But yeah, they've taken the odd wicket here and there, but at no point have they taken a wicket and then looked to turn the screw. I think I'd go back to it again and again. I think they got the bowling combination really wrong today, and I think it's shown. They needed one more spinner, not a third pacer.
It certainly looks that way. They were unable to put on that squeeze really and create pressure in those middle overs. As Rahul drives past Mustafiza, and there's a chase on here towards the boundary. A successful chase which keeps it down to 2 runs. India edging ever closer to victory. Been made to work a fair bit harder than we thought earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
30 odd for 5.
Yeah, I was thinking this. I think with the drop catches and how they've been in the field, normally, very sharp in the field. I wonder whether India will, they'll take the points home today, but will they go, actually, we do need a few improvements before tougher games against Pakistan and New Zealand.
Short from Mustafiza, it's pulled away by Rahul to the deep square leg boundary. There is protection there, will just be the single. I think it's not such a bad thing if you can win. Still pretty comprehensively, like it looks like it will be, 31 needed from 50 balls. But then also realise that you need to improve upon things. You need to be sharper in the field. Maybe shot selection on a couple of occasions. Virat Kohli springs to mind. Didn't really need to force the issue at that stage of the innings. Just a bit more game awareness in certain positions. Gill defends the next ball into the leg side, and there is no run.
But otherwise, India heading towards a very professional win today. I think once they had Bangladesh 35 for 5, there was no coming back really, and just the body language of the Bangladesh, as we've seen so many times in these sort of games, they've never looked like a team who thought, how do we squeeze a win out of this tough situation? They've just gone through the motions really.
I mean, they had a slight opportunity with the fall of that 4th wicket. Get themselves back into the game. Gill charges at Mustafiza, who goes slightly shorter, and Gill defends into the offside for no run. So Roshan, what do they do apart from bringing a spinner, an extra spinner for the next game? What can Bangladesh do to improve in the next game? Top order might be a concern. You give us your thoughts on that, and then Melissa Story will take you through to the conclusion.
Yeah, the top order does remain a concern. I mean, there was a lot of conversations about who would open. Obviously, they tried to convince Tamim to come back. Litton was dropped, a very high-profile player missing from this squad. So Sumasaka and Tanzid, they've got a task to do to prove that they can operate at the top order. But Bangladesh's top order has been fragile for a long time. Najmul, Hossain, Shanto is out of form, still insists on coming in at number 3 or 4. But something's going to have to give if it doesn't play or it doesn't work.
Is there any kind of thoughts on Mamadullah and if he'll be fit to come back into the playing 11?
I mean, I think Bangladesh definitely need him. He's such a reliable, experienced player, but they're very cagey about his injury until today. Actually, he was spotted just having chats during the training session, didn't bat, and so that raised a few kind of eyebrows. But it was considered, the coaching staff at that point were sort of going, no, it's fine. And only this morning, when he's not turned up in the 11, have they gone, actually he's injured. But Mamadullah again bats 6 or 7. It doesn't help that number 1, 2, 3, which just seems very fragile for Bangladesh at the moment.
So 31 more runs required for India from 48 balls. They've been in a comfortable position, but pretty much this whole run chase, largely thanks to Shubman and Gill, who'll be eyeing up those three figures as a quick single's taken to mid-off, underarm throw at the non-striker's end. It was Rahul running to the danger end. And India, they ran those quick singles pretty well across this innings. Would have been nice if they could finish it off with a few big sixes.
Wouldn't it? I mean, it's been a very low pressure chase for India. They've really not broken a sweat despite the dew and the heat in Dubai.
Just showing that they're not a batting lineup who are going to get flustered pretty easily. As Tanzim bowls a low full toss and Gill plays it nicely off his pads straight towards mid-on. No run available though, and they give me the vibes that, you know, if Bangladesh had got 320 odd, they would have still probably been this calm, but just adjusted the way they played, because this is an Indian team who plays a lot of 50 over cricket and they don't get flustered easily.
No, quite. I think that's the norm for them, isn't it? 300 plus scores.
Tanzim bowls and hooked over short mid wicket. Fielder comes in. Ali collects that one, returns it back to the bowler. 1 run brings up the 200 for India. 29 runs needed, 45 balls left. I think there should be the chance for teams to get kind of bonus points or bonus net run rate if you kind of finish the game off in style.
Like a certain number of boundaries in the last few overs.
The commentators get to give you brownie points. Outside the off stump and just cutting the ball straight into the ground is Rohit, who's 26 off 37. This surface certainly hasn't been conducive to good timing across the whole innings, which I think probably is what makes this chase more impressive, that it hasn't been easy.
Yeah, I completely agree. The pitch hasn't done a lot, actually. I think there was so much talk about spin in Dubai, and it really hasn't done a lot particular. I mean, the spinners have had an okay outing, certainly for Bangladesh as the match has gone on, but early on it didn't look like it was offering a lot of movement. The Bangladeshi pacers certainly didn't get a lot out of it. You know, we saw a little bit of movement from Fizz, but not you know, as much as justifying 3 paces.
Full ball driven into the hands of extra cover. Another dot ball, 29 needed from 43. It puts a lot of pressure, you feel, on that kind of opening power play, and teams making sure that when they do come over here, if the other Dubai pitches play pretty similar, that, you know, you've got to make that impact with the new ball when there's a bit of zip off the surface, get those early wickets, because then it just becomes a bit placid going forwards. Yeah,
100%. I mean, Rohit Sharma in the at the toss said if they would have bowled, and I thought, is that a psychological thing of saying that he would have done?
Tanzim, back of a length on the back foot, punches to mid-on, takes a single, 28 runs required.
But in hindsight, I believe him. I actually think he would have bowled because it went very well.
Yeah, no, and I think there wasn't the same amount of control from the Bangladesh openers with the ball, which I think was probably their downfall, that if Bangladesh were ever going to defend a total such as this, then they needed those early wickets. They didn't bowl as well as they could have, and that's always the measure of a performance when you walk off the pitch at the end of the day. I think both sides, I think you mentioned with India dropping those catches, will walk off today and say Bangladesh will certainly say they can improve, but I think even India are going, there's better stuff we can work on.
Yeah, and there's tougher opposition yet to come for them, so I think, you know, against Pakistan, those drop catches could literally cost the match. Same against New Zealand.
I'd always like waiting till the end of a competition to see what team has dropped the most catches. I feel like there needs to be a special prize.
A drop counter.
Like a dunce hat. Well done, guys. You dropped the most catches. What a sad little life, Jane. In comes Mr. Fizzer. Left arm over. And it's driven nicely just to the right of extra cover. It means that mid-off had to go chase that one down. Only enough to give India a single, 27 of 41. Just more random kind of awards at the end of a night. What, an end of a night?
Because the presentations aren't long enough as they are. That's what we need, is extra awards.
Let's replace the boring ones then, like, you know, sponsors, player of the game. Forget that. What about who? Oh, I'm trying to think how to incorporate dance into this somehow.
Dance, is that what it like?
I think that's what it's missing.
Okay.
We had a game in the summer where we were kind of told that we weren't getting between our fielding positions between overs quick enough, and our coaches wanted to see a bit more energy from us at my club. So me and my friend, who were kind of fielding opposite each other at a point and whatever's opposite point, I'm trying to remember now. There's 27 needed from 41. Mr. Fizzer bowls, leg stump delivery, and easily worked down towards deep backwards square. Single taken, 203 for 4. So we decided that every time we kind of ran around to move positions, we would do some kind of dance move when we charged at each other. So it started with running round, doing a quick little like two-step as we ran past each other, to finishing with us fully doing the dirty dancing.
Well, I was going to
lift.
say, were they fully choreographed? Like
They were, you know what? They were kind of instinctive, but also in sync. We kind of knew what the other person was doing.
That's a level of teammatism that teams would probably die for.
Exactly. That's what all these teams in the Champions Trophy are looking for. Slashed away for 4. Rahul, given width, beats the diving fielder and gets the approval of the Indian captain, Rohit Sharma, sat in the dugout. This 5th wicket partnership moves to 63. And Mr. Fizzer, after that previous one just being 2 on the leg stump, this one now gives him width. And KL Rahul, the Indian wicketkeeper who's been favoured over Rishabh Pant, well, he's making his case heard.
Loud and clear, absolutely. Just looking to finish the job efficiently and professionally.
Mr. Fizzer bowls, fuller, slower ball. Rahul can only lean into it for no run. 22 needed for off 38. I just think, it kind of does keep you a lot more alert in the field, particularly in a 50-over game. If each over you're thinking,
what dance
well,
next?
I did the robot last time, so what am I going to have to do here?
And how are you communicating which dance to do from across the...
So it started off with us just doing kind of different ones as we ran past
Right.
each other. And then as we kind of kept the overs going, we were like, should we try and do a lift? Shall I try and slide on my knees between your legs?
And how many overs are your matches?
This is going to expose me quite a bit now. As driving through the covers, single taken. I am actually vice captain of my club side, but I can't remember. I'm going to say 45.
There's 45 different dances.
Maybe 40. I think this was like, it wasn't every over. This was
that'd be
you
some
guys.
commitment.
This was a you guys are losing energy. Like we're halfway through the game. Come on, wise up, kind of thing. So I would highly recommend doing the dirty dancing lift each over with the person stood opposite you, and take it in turns. Unless it's like a 15-year-old kid.
Well,
which don't take it in turns.
I'll bring it up this summer next time I'm fielding at point.
Good. It's a great team bonding experience as well. Mr. Fizzer down the leg side. It'll be signalled wide as such. Gives India that extra run. Not that they need it, but they'll take it. 20 runs needed from 37 balls. Only 3 extras in this innings, though, from Bangladesh. And India barely bowled any at all, I think. In fact, most of them, I think, were Hardik Pandya.
Yeah, and I think anything slightly wide by Bangladesh was hit for a boundary rather than left. So perhaps the statistics are slightly flattering to the lines and lengths that we've seen today.
Shubman Gill on strike on 87 of 117. Back of a length, slower again, waits for it patiently and drops the ball towards the vacant mid-wicket region. Doesn't even have to run through for the run, he just keeps on striding. Mustafika takes his cap from the umpire. As the night sky in Dubai, pitch black now, apart from the twinkling lights of the city.
Yeah, there's no shortage of city lights and tall buildings in Dubai. It's a phenomenal scene in real life, and it looks great on the screens around the ground as well.
Have you? So you've been to Dubai?
Yeah, a few times.
What's the kind of the top thing to do, the tourist thing to do?
Shopping malls and eat.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ideal holiday in a weird way. In a way.
Good culture then.
Yeah, good culture.
Yeah.
I like Abu Dhabi as well. Slightly more.
Bit of history, so you can say actually this shopping mall was built in 2004, but if you go to that shopping mall, it was built
2012.
in 2012, and you can actually see in the architecture styles as driving in the air, one bounce to the fielder at mid-off. Gill just frustrated, he couldn't quite get the elevation on that one. 19 needed off 35. Yeah, you can see that they abandoned the kind of marble floors and shopping factories at this stage and opted for more of a traditional feature with the trim around the windows as well. Sounds lovely.
It's a good holiday for, I think everyone should do it once.
It's a good time to go on holiday for listeners in the UK as well. as a full ball has been flicked off the pads in the air and away for 6 runs. Well, that's how you get closer to a century. Shubman Gill, 13 more runs now for India. The fans are up on their feet celebrating, getting their phones out, waiting for the big moment where he might get to 3 figures. And that was a lovely pickup, the kind of shot which you kind of rehearse and you say to yourself, I'm going to play that in the nets this evening with your club, and you end up just getting clean bowled.
It was a stunning shot. I mean, so smooth, and as smooth as you can play that shot. It was almost half a helicopter with the rotation of the bat.
Tanzim now with a full toss, and it's been absolutely drilled at extra cover. In fact, the fielder drops the ball and clutches his hands. His low full tosses are either quite difficult to hit or absolutely fly. But lots of excitement for that 6. It's been a remarkable innings, and you know, he would deserve to bring up his 100. In fact, we've been treated to 2 really good, well-paced innings. I think that shorter ball from Tanzim goes away for 4 runs. It's under 10 now for India, 9 needed from 32, and Shubman Gill is on 98. It would really be a well-deserved 100.
Absolutely, he's played so brilliantly from the start of this innings. He's paced himself well. He's anchored the innings. He's watched wickets fall around him, but he's been there. He's been the steady batter in this innings. He's played aggressively when he's needed to, played sensibly when he's needed to. We've seen him just really play to the match situation, but never take his eye off the main target.
Tanzim into Gill, slower ball, which he guides down towards deep third. Will only get a single, but does, well, he's probably looking to retain the strike, and KL Rahul has 1 ball left to face in this over. Will be thinking, I mean, he only needs 1 more run, so he'll go, even if you hit a 6, it's fine.
Yeah, if he's got 8 runs left to get to the target, 1 run for a century. You can sort of see the Indian players sort of making their way out to the balcony just to get ready in anticipation for the applause, but this will be a very well deserved century. Should he make it, and you assume he will at this stage.
You assume he will, but you never... I don't believe in commentators' curse, but the gods tend to disagree. As a high full toss this time from Tanzim, as some of the Bangladesh fielders and KL Rahul in particular just looking to that square leg umpire as if to say, is that one going to be a no ball? Shubman Gill isn't too fussed. I mean, that would have been some end if there'd been a no ball hit for 6 and then a free hit, and you would have had Shubman Gill going to KL Rahul, please defend that free hit, please. I think they're just checking here. I don't know whether it's...
It did look a very high full toss actually, didn't it? But the batter seems to be sort of going back to their respective creases, so perhaps it's not going upstairs.
So Shubman Gill, his last 4 ODI innings, 87 off 96, 60 off 52, 112 off 102, and then today 99 not out off 123.
Ridiculous form.
Remarkable. He's on strike on 99, and Taskin has the ball in hand as he runs in over the wicket to Gill, and it beats the outside edge of the bat. Pace taken off it, 79 miles per hour. He's got a smile on his face as his Indian teammates, as you say, linger outside the changing room, hoping to celebrate their teammate and their friend's century. But stunning form, and exactly what India would have wanted heading into this competition. They want to lift the trophy here. They know they've got the depth, they've got the strength. Shubman Gill on 99, as Taskin runs into him. It's outside the off stump. He drives through the covers, gets through for the single, punches his bat, takes the helmet off, and his teammates warmly applaud him as he raises his bat to the skies, raises his bat to the Indian fans here in Dubai, and exchanges a hug with KL Rahul at the other end. Even a kiss for his bat. I mean, it really has been a superb innings from Shubman Gill. And it's his 8th 100 in one-day international cricket. 100 not out of 125 balls. 9 fours, 2 sixes.
Phenomenal 100 from Shubman Gill. It's been a phenomenal to watch today. showing that you can do it on the world stage as well as in the bilaterals. Fantastic stuff.
Taskin, 5th stump line outside the off stump as Rahul guides it out towards the sweeper on the offside. And I think it really just summed up his innings, that shot. He just took a few steps down the pitch, leant on the ball, and was just patient. He was just calm.
Now just needs to see the game over the line, and then you're going to head home back to the hotel and probably have an ice bath or something.
Sounds horrible.
I know. They're all the rage though, ice baths, aren't they?
Isn't it? Aren't you meant to go hot then cold?
Is that right?
I thought that always did nerve damage, but who knows? That could be an old wives' tale. As this one a Yorker, and Gill advancing down the pitch was looking to drive over extra cover. Because do you remember when you were a kid and you'd kind of like, have a bath and you put your hands or put your feet under the cold tap and then put them under the warm tap and it would kind of burn?
I've never done that in my life.
Whoopsie. Maybe wasn't meant to share that. I thought that was a universal experience, to be honest, but desperately trying to think of other things kids do. Please tell me you put your hands in the hot wax of candles.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not that strange. 223 for 4. That target of 229. A good Yorker from Taskin. And a smile on the face of Gill, who probably, now that he's reached those 3 figures, will be waiting for that delivery which he can spank away for 6. Did you even see that as well?
Flew.
He gave a bit of a wink after hitting the 6 a few overs ago. I wish I was that cool.
I wonder who that was dedicated to.
I think it was to you.
Was it? Did it?
Yeah. I think he picked you out in the crowd. So India just 6 runs away now. As Gill back on strike. Can you finish it with one blow? Straighter ball from Taskin. Won't find a run at all for India. He'll find mid-wicket. 4 overs left. 6 runs required. And probably the best start that India could have hoped for in this group. But I mean, for Pakistan and Bangladesh, I know we're kind of harping on about it, but the nature of this competition means that as soon as you get a loss, then you're truly fighting against everything to stay in contention for the knockouts.
Yeah, it does mean game 2 becomes survival, which I believe for India and Pakistan is the next game, isn't it? So yeah, you definitely want to get off to a flyer with your first game and win. And I think, but just once you've lost the first one, 2 games left, it sort of becomes do or die. And I mean, the very nature of this tournament means every game matters, but definitely puts you on the back foot if you lose your first one, and Bangladesh will have it all to do now.
I think it's an engaging format as well, because one thing that I think people have remarked in terms of franchise cricket is that with the extension of the IPL, when the Big Bash got a lot longer, meant that most ordinary people struggled to follow it, as this one slashed through the covers by Gill off the bowling of Tanzim. Apologies, by KL Rahul. 5 more runs needed for India. But then, of course, the Big Bash shortened it, and I feel like this last season has been so much fun and been a lot easier to follow the narrative. Even competitions like the PSL and I think the SA20 I've personally enjoyed, because if you miss a few days,
you can be completely out of sync with what's happening.
And you don't have to stay engaged for months on end as well. And I think that's one thing with the last men's 50 over World Cup, as this ball's been clipped off the pads out towards the boundary. There is a fielder out there. They should come back for 2, India. I think in the end though they settle on the 1, probably because they know that they're comfortably close to this target. But I hope that this Champions Trophy, we have some good close finishes.
Yeah. And I think having groups of 4 helps out, because it just means every game matters. Upsets count. You can see yourself through to the second round with a win or 2, and suddenly it becomes interesting.
Shorter ball hooked away in the air, and it's finished with a 6. KL Rahul hooking that one into the crowd, and India pick up their first win of this Champions Trophy. Shubman Gill, 101 not out, ably supported by KL Rahul at the other end with 41. They beat Bangladesh by 6 wickets in a game which could have been a lot shorter than this at that stage when Bangladesh were 35 for 5. It was a brilliant recovery from Jaka Ali and Tawhid Hidroy with 100 off 118. But realistically, that target of 229, it was never really going to be enough for Bangladesh. And the strength and depth of this Indian side, the way they come at you with the bat with that opening partnership of Gill and Sharma, they're a formidable force in this competition.
Yeah, they've come into this tournament as favourites and they've gone off to a professional win. And I think that's what matters and what will be remembered is the points they achieved today. Are there improvements for India before they go into tougher matches? Yeah, maybe they want to improve the catching. Maybe they will want to turn the screw, and they had Bangladesh fully on the ropes 35 for 5. But despite that, phenomenal from India all round. Shubman Gill with that century. Mohammad Shami, if there's any doubt about him coming back from injury, the fiver will silence any critics. So I think India will be very pleased with this. A very professional and clinical performance from them today.
And in terms for Bangladesh, we've spoken throughout this second innings about things to work on, but a kind of summary of what you would take from this game and what you think the kind of thoughts that are going to be shared in the changing room after today.
Well, I think the fact that they now travel into Pakistan will be an opportunity to reset. Its new conditions, its new pitch conditions, and potentially conditions that are going to favour them, seeing as Bangladesh now are looking to lean towards playing pacers over spinners. I think they'll look back at today and think maybe they got the team selection wrong. Should Nahid Rana have bowled with his pure pace? Should they have played an extra spinner? I think those are questions I'll ask, but go to Pakistan for the next match gives them an opportunity just to hit reset and go, right, let's start again. We've got 2 games in entirely different conditions. Their Champions Trophy isn't over and they need to reset very quickly.
So in terms of the table for Group A, New Zealand sit at the top because their net run rate 1.2, which is a bit higher than India. Both of them sit on 2 points. India's net run rate is 0.4. Bangladesh in third and Pakistan sit at the bottom. So some big games coming up for Bangladesh and Pakistan. In terms of what's to come here with us at Test Match Special, we have coverage of every single game of the Champions Trophy. And tomorrow, it's Afghanistan against South Africa, which should be a pretty good game. One side, I guess, of South Africa being eternally labelled the bottlers in knockout cricket, so a good chance for them. And I think Afghanistan, who a lot of people agree are probably the underdogs of this Champions Trophy. Yeah,
I mean, South Africa, the first ever winners of the Champions Trophy back in the day, so they'll have good memories of this tournament and maybe look at that as I probably wouldn't have memories of the current playing team actually, but they'll certainly look back at that win for inspiration. And Afghanistan, I mean, they've just gone from strength to strength and they are everybody